Well, well, well. If it isn't the Central Committee stream with Mike from PA. Later this afternoon, or later this morning, depending on where on the coast you are, we will have Kat Abughazaleh on the stream for an interview. We're also going to be talking about the Iranian war that's spinning out of control as Trump looks more and more desperate. We're not winning, in case you're wondering. We're not winning. What is happening, and I have my analysis and understanding of the war significantly enhanced. Wait, is this the wrong channel? I was looking for Mike from Beijing. You found him. Aren't we at a stalemate? That means we're losing. Because when you're the aggressor and then you don't successfully attack the other side, that means you're losing the war because they're defending themselves, you know? They're not trying to like invade Washington, D.C. Who's interviewing Kat? Me. Is it really Kat Abughazaleh or is it? I mean, listen, it's the day before the election, chat. She's very busy. If something comes up, all I can say is she agreed, her campaign manager agreed for the interview later today. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for my Kat Abughazaleh interview later on today. You know, I would never lie to you. Will it be an interview or a conversation? I mean, I've been thinking about that. How long are you giving for the interview? A very long time. You son of a bitch. It will be yelling match. No, not at all. I think that would be a very bad idea for the both of us. My feeling about Kat is what I explained in my YouTube video. And I was unsparing in the YouTube video. If somebody could watch my YouTube video and then decide to come on for an interview with me, so be it. You know, like I APAC has to be our number one goal. You know, the other thing is in life, it's important that you understand. Oh, wait, sorry, chat. My camera's all effed. My camera's effed up. Oh, wait. That better? Okay. It's better in life that you understand that politics is about coalition building. And there is a tendency in left-wing politics that is called sinking to the level of disagreement, right? This is a phenomenon that you're going to see. Oh, and thank you guys for all the support. I appreciate it. And that is narcissism. It is a narcissistic masturbatory tendency. It's a narcissistic masturbatory tendency to sink to the level of disagreement, to pass over all the areas of agreement in order to try to drill down on the one nub of disagreement. And so I am not trying to be that guy. I think it to be, I find it to be narcissistic. I find it to be unhelpful. That being said, my disagreements are based off of reason. And I'm curious to hear the rationale behind some of her opinions, right? You know, I guess from my study of both current events and history, I don't believe that the United States of America should be a world police, should be intervening in the internal politics of other countries. I think that we have about 100 years track record of doing a really bad job when we do that. So I'm curious about that. I'm curious about why she believes the United States can continue to be a positive when we're currently doing an illegal war. You know, it's fascinating to me. You should talk about your different paths towards radicalization. I can tell you right now that Kat is more to the left than I was at her age. I think I was just beginning my path to radicalization when I was Kat's age. So that's something else to keep in mind, right? Like, I didn't really become what I would consider to be to the left of Kat until 2015. So, I mean, it's been 11 years, so it seems like a long time. But when you think about the path of life, I was older than her, than she is now. So that is another important thing to consider. We should intervene in some situations like on behalf of Palestinians, but we won't. And what is stopping us from reversing the consequences of our previous crimes? I got to tell you that Palestinian genocide is happening because we interfere. There would be no Palestinian genocide but for American interference. And so, you know, I don't know what to say. And I want to make sure And when we look at somebody like Kat Abughazaleh, we see her for what she actually is, which is somebody who's on our side on the most important issue of the day, which is standing up to Israel, denying Israel weapons. This is actually something I've said quite a bit about Zohran Mamdani and AOC, and so I'll say it again about Kat. I may have my disagreements with them, but if we're looking for the policy outcome that we want that will stop the genocide, they're giving it to us. And so we have an obligation to support that. And that means no offensive or defensive weapons to Israel. If Kat Abughazaleh could win on a platform of no offensive or defensive weapons to Israel whatsoever, no aid to Israel whatsoever, that is the single greatest thing we could do to disrupt American foreign policy in 2026. To be honest, what do you think about it? You being radicalized in your late 20s makes sense for someone who was in their 20s in the 2000s. The internet wasn't what it is today, so leftism wasn't as accessible back then. There was no leftism outside of extreme fringe stuff. In 2014, there basically wasn't leftism in America. I mean, there were some people that were self-described socialists, but they were usually older, people that had radicalized during the Cold War. So there wasn't, there, you know, those of us who grew up in the 90s, it just wasn't even a thing. And we're winning. And so I think part of the frustration of the internet is that politics today, and this is very important. This is a very important point. Politics today is very weird because we have the internet. And so we're going through like so many discourses so quickly, and new consensuses are forming, and opinions are being made, and they are being reiterated, and people agree with them, and they are convinced. But then the democratic system that we have on top of the 21st century internet is a system that was developed in the 18th century. We have an electoral system that was developed in the 18th century. So we have this like democratization of political organizing it takes, but there's a structure that was built in the 18th century. So it requires years of waiting so we can all come to this consensus that Israel is bad and that we should stop funding Israel. But our political system is sitting there, chugga, 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 chugga. And there's no opportunity for accountability of changing those policies. And I think people, you know, they get bored waiting for the election, and they don't realize that the election, the vote, is their opportunity to influence the policy that is being made. Like that is the election. Like obviously there is all the other organizing we do, which is important, but it's only important if we have politicians in power that we're influencing. If we are just building up this structure and it's a freewheeling, if it's a flywheel that's just spinning faster and faster and faster, and it never connects to the clutch of power, the machine is not going to move. And I think so many people are focused on how fast the flywheel is spinning, and I'm one of those people that have spun it up. They're not recognizing that we have to connect it to fucking power. And Kat Abughazaleh is one of those people. She is one of those people that is the nexus between the flywheel of the consensus that we've built online and among the masses, and actually try to get the machine of American state to change direction, which is what we all actually want. What we actually want is the United States of America to move their Israel embassy back to, what we actually want is the United States to allow the International Criminal Court to prosecute Benjamin Netanyahu. What we actually want is the United States to remove weapons and assistance from Israel. That's what we actually want. How do we accomplish that goal expeditiously? How do we actually accomplish that goal? If you care about this stuff, and by the way, it's easy to talk big. It's very easy to talk big. It's easy to posture yourself as the most correct person. What's hard to do is actually grab hold of power. And I think that's why a lot of people have trained themselves to have contempt for it, because it's difficult. You start training yourself to be like, well, I can't do that because I don't want to do that. It's sour grapes. It is a inborn cynicism of we can't win, and therefore I'm going to construct this ego protection belief system where this actually doesn't matter. But it does. That's always been my position. My position is the most frustrating position. I'm sorry you're a fan of mine. Welcome to hell. Okay? You're going to live in the world where you know what the correct answer is, but nonetheless, you're going to have to try to influence other people in power to come in your direction. Welcome to hell. We're not sitting back here comfortable going, we're the smartest and most correct people on the internet. We are the people that are like, fuck, we have to convince everyone else to come in our direction to save the fucking planet. Trump is defending Mark Levin. Oh, God. Mark Levin, a truly great American patriot, is somewhat under siege by people with far less intellect, capability, and love for our country. Mark is tough, strong, and brilliant, hence the nickname The Great One, conceived by our MAGA friend, the wonderful Sean Hannity, after years of dealing with Mark in legal, media, and other capacities. Mark would often do Sean's show speaking as a lawyer, and Sean realized then, as he did with others, that he was special. As did others. Mark Levin was not looking to do television, radio, or anything else, but he was drafted by very smart people who understood that there are few like him. Oh my God, dude. He's such a fucking boomer. Donald Trump is such a fucking boomer, man. Give us your Mark Levin impression. Bro, people already call me anti-Semitic. I'm not giving you my Mark Levin impression. It'd be like if I tried to do an impression of an Israeli settler, I'd get permabans for anti-Semitism. Don't even start. Don't ask me to do that. If you think there's going to be the next Fetterman, who do you think it'll be? I don't trust anybody who likes Elizabeth Warren, like who's primarily campaigning with Elizabeth Warren. I consider people that primarily campaign with it. Like if you look at politics and you're like, I like Elizabeth Warren, you're definitely a betrayer. You're definitely a betrayer. If you're like, you know what America needs? More Elizabeth Warren, then you're insane. That being said, like, I regret to inform you that she's one of the better senators. Please stop with the X is the next Fetterman shit. I do agree that it's kind of dumb. I don't think it's a good way of understanding. It's a cuck. It's a mental cuck. That's what that is. When somebody is approaching politics with a so-and-so is the next Fetterman, like, why are you assuming you're defeated? Why are you putting yourself in the cuck chair? You know what I mean? Like, why are you putting yourself in the fucking cuck chair where we're going to lose people because they're going to, like, betray us? How about we get their side to betray their, you know what I mean? How about we convince their side? Who's the next Thomas Massey, although he's a fucking weirdo, but you get my point. Like, who's the next right winger that's going to stab Trump in the back and be a useful idiot for us? Who's going to surprise you by going more further to the left? Stop, get out of the mental cuck chair of losing constantly. James Talrico is not a Fetterman. It's very clear what his shortcomings are. I gotta be honest with you, chat. I don't understand the Talrico shit. I don't understand Texas Dems. I don't understand why anybody cares or is that interested in listening to Texas Democrats. In fact, when I cross the Mason-Dixon line, if I'm being quite honest with you, the Democratic Party sucks. And it's, you know what I mean? It's just like, can we hear less from Southerners? Is that possible? I'm just kidding. I'm just trolling all the Southerners. I'm trolling all the Southerners. Ohio is the state. I mean, Sherrod Brown. I forgot how to pronounce his name again. Is way better than James Talrico. Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, why are we focusing on Talrico? I mean, Sherrod Brown has some sussy takes as well, but like, the Democratic Party of California and New York are any better than Florida or Texas? No, they're actually bad as well. Actually, I think the worst politics in the country are in California. California has the most dog shit politics in the entire country. It's actually shameful. It stinks like Ronald Reagan in here. And when I say that, what I mean, when people are like, Mike, what do you mean? Other states are worse, blah, 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 blah. What I'm saying is the Democratic Party, I mean, Florida is actually, Chatter is correct. Florida is the worst. No, Chatter is right. Chatter is right. Florida is actually the worst. Except Oliver Larkin. Who's California's Oliver Larkin? There is no one. There is no one like Oliver Larkin. Like, fun. I mean, there is a DSA rep from Texas, for Christ's sake. Now, there's like two really solid left-wing reps from Texas right now. You know, like, who's the really solid left-wing rep from California? Oh, wait. Californians are deluded into thinking their state is more based than the rest of the country, where real estate and healthcare companies milk every dollar for the people. Fuck SDG&E. Well, not only that, their electrical grid is the Enron grid. Like everything about California is run terribly. It's such neoliberal Democrat. It's like if the Democratic Party of Bill Clinton was able to do whatever they wanted across the entire country, it would look like California. And that is, which is dysfunctional. Do you think we're going to get a primary in 2028? Yes. CIA briefed Trump that Khamenei may be gay. Why are you linking me this shit, dude? Don't link me this Israeli propaganda crap. Be better than that. That's what Twitter is trending now. Yeah, Twitter is a Israeli propaganda website. I don't know if you noticed. All right, so let's get into what we're talking about today. We have our Cat Abughazaleh interview later on today. As you probably are aware, I endorsed Cat last week, and I published the why we should support Cat Abughazaleh on my YouTube channel. And this is a very, very, very frank and open conversation where I don't hold anything back. Why did I link the title instead of a link to the actual episode? I don't, my brain has not worked too good. I didn't find this weekend to be very restful, chat. I didn't find the weekend to be very restful because I spent 2 hours with Hassan recording a new episode. In between his like photo shoot and then going to the Oscars, it was 2 hours of me and Hassan recording a new episode. You did Fear and no. I did my own. We're doing our own project, chat. It'll be out soon. Hugo leaked it last night. Oh, he did? Link me the leak. Anyway, so I'm tired as fuck. You hung out with Hassan, you know he's an evil communist. I wish Hassan was an evil communist. He's one of those leftists who's like, we're doing it, but it's so hard. We have to be nice to people. And it's like, no, he an evil communist. We need to help people. No. Hugo showed the trailer. Oh, hell yeah. I'll probably show the trailer after the Cat interview. Why is the market happy today? They're delusional. They're hoping that oil will not be expensive. They're having a delusion thing where they're like, no, it's going to be fine. Beijing is going to tell Iran to stop attacking oil tankers. I'm glad to see Freda get his flowers. Oh yeah, Freda is part of the project as well. So is Ugopnik. What time is the Cat interview? What do you guys think? Of course I'm going to do it later when everybody's awake. I'm not going to do this shit at 7 a.m. What the fuck? What are we thinking? I hope Mike's show with Hassan has no trace of gay. Honestly, I'm too old for that shit. You know, I'm too old for that. I'm too old for that shit where I like pretend to be gay all the time. I only do that once in a while. Freda and Ugopnik are opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to having their chill. Honestly, I think I'm the opposite side of the spectrum of having chill. I think I have no chill. My problem is I have absolutely no chill. I could be on 5 milligrams magic mushrooms and I'll be talking about socialism. I could be yacked out of my brain and I'll be talking about socialism. Only 5 milligrams? Not milligrams, grams. Sorry, 5 grams. 5 grams, not milligrams. 5 grams. I struggle to talk about anything else, LOL. That's what most people are like, but it doesn't affect me. One time I was on magic mushrooms and everybody else was just completely annihilated and I was just having a normal conversation. And I was just like, I guess I'm deeply rooted. And I just kept repeating how deeply rooted I was. I just kept talking. I was completely fine. I mean, I was fucked. Like I was affected by it. I'm not saying I wasn't high or whatever, but I kept talking. I'm a born yapper. You didn't eat enough. 5 grams, guys, not enough. I guess I should have did 10. I don't understand the market. Why get our oil price decreasing? Donald Trump. Okay, let's get into that. What is this war on Iran day 15? Is today or day 16? Is it 16 or 15 today? I don't remember. Is it 17 or 16? What day of the Iran war is it? Day 17, according to Al Jazeera. Okay. All I could say is, you know how I feel about Cat Abughazaleh? Can I just say this? I feel like she talked to people about me who don't know me and convinced her of bullshit that is not the case. And so the vibes were off in our interactions. And so that led me to believe that she wasn't as left-wing as she turned out to be. So it was really just a bad vibe mismatch. You know, like there's a lot of like centrist Democrats, faux progressives who don't like me. They're basically the type of people that were like spending the entire last October going like, you have to vote for Kamala or else you're, who cares about Gaza? you know, they were the people that were arguing that you have to ignore Gaza for trans rights or whatever. You know that type of progressive. And it's not to say that trans rights were not in danger under Donald Trump. It's not to say that they didn't have a point. But the fact that they kept telling people to ignore Gaza, that was insane. And I really didn't like that, you know? And so those kind of like, that way of arguing is insane to me. So those type of people, I went after them. Did you see Flesh Simulator crash out on you and Hassan yesterday because someone doxed him who likes the song? This is what's so weird about Flesh Simulator. I found him interesting. Why does this happen? I gave him a modicum of attention. I don't think, as far as I know, Hassan has ever given him attention. And, you know, benzo addiction is not a joke. Okay. So if anybody's struggling with benzo addiction, I don't fuck with them. I let them chill. I try not to stress them out. Okay. Because that is like one of the toughest addictions to crack. It's like worse than being a fet addicted person. So I like let them chill whenever we feel like we're rubbing each other the wrong way. And he had he like got mad at me for it. He like replied to one of my most normal takes in a weird way. And I was like, okay. So I unfollowed him. But as far as that goes, I haven't really like talked to him or like interacted with him in any kind of negative way. So I don't know what else to say. Like, I haven't told anybody to go after him. And I'm not shy about fighting with people. I just haven't done anything to that guy. I don't know what's going. I don't know what else to say. Like, I hope you get better, man. Like, legit. Here's the thing about Kat. I feel like, humbly, if she listens to Hassan and myself more and less to like Elizabeth Warren aligned liberal Zionists, the better she's gonna do. And I say that as humbly as possible, not because I think I'm a genius or anything. It's just that I think that Hassan and me are a little bit more connected to where regular base left-wingers are than like people that just post on Twitter. You know, I have 5 hours of conversations every day with like a lot of people. And so I feel like I'm a little bit more in touch than like liberal Zionists who work in DC. So if we could, you know, if I could get any amount of influence over her, I think it would be an asset. And I know it sounds arrogant and narcissistic, and I apologize. I'm very self-aware of how it sounds. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to say that I'm a genius here. The other thing is, I got to say this straight up. I respect Kat a lot. I really do. In the day-to-day of politics, you guys don't really understand politics on the level that I do because you haven't run for office. If you haven't run for office at any level, then you don't really understand how impressive what she's done actually is. If Kat Abughazaleh wins, it is probably one of the most impressive wins ever. I'm not kidding. Like, I need to start hyping her up again. Like, legitimately, if she wins, it is one of the most impressive wins for Congress ever. More impressive than AOC, more impressive than Summer Lee, although Summer Lee is pretty close, right? I would say Summer Lee's is like almost on par. But like, this is like in history. Do you know how many times a 26-year-old woman takes on AIPAC and wins while also being forced to run against another progressive? Two of them? What? It'll be probably the most impressive win that I can think of, quite frankly. Going back to Victor Berger or some shit. I think that's part of why I want to support Kat, because like looking back on what she's managed to accomplish, I literally cannot. It is unbelievably impressive. And I have to respect that. I have to respect that. And I think that a lot of people, they don't really get it. I don't think they get it. She has done so many things that I would not do because they're so risky, and yet it's working. LOL at the old school Wisconsin socialist reference. Hey, Ryan, what's up, man? Like, Kat has managed to make herself a social media star, raise like a ton of clean money, run against AIPAC, radicalize more. She went to the left during the course of her campaign. She launched her campaign as a more generic progressive, and she's been moving to the left more and more and more and more. She's been coming in our direction, which is another thing that I haven't been talking about because I was drilling down on our point of disagreement, which, as I said, is narcissistic. Last week you didn't like her. Let me just say this. Have you ever been convinced that you're acting like an asshole? Have you ever actually been convinced that you were acting like an asshole? If the answer to that is no, you're an asshole. Have you ever actually thought like, you know what? I am convinced that I'm an asshole. Right. I've been kind of an asshole. They're right. Have you ever been convinced? So if you have ever recognized that maybe you went too far and you change your mind and then you have fresh eyes to look at the situation, that's where I'm at right now. I've been convinced, and it was Hassan who convinced me. And also, you know what convinced me? The way that people were acting toward Hassan. It felt like I was being bad empanada. Like I realized I was being bad empanada toward a cat. And I was like, you know what? I'm in the wrong here. I'm in the wrong here. So I changed my mind. Literally. If you're one of those people that believes people cannot change their mind, you are incorrect. I have literally changed my mind. I just did. Now, I disagree with Kat on a lot of policies. And I think one of the things that I would say to Kat is I appreciate how much she's tried to put on her issues page and how she's tried to flesh things out and like, you know, as a young person, you want to express how educated you are on topics and you really write a lot of things down. And I think the one thing that I would tell her is as a leader, you need to give yourself more room to maneuver and consider. And the more you put down, that's a pledge that you're making to the voters. And you are trapping yourself, right? You're trapping yourself in positions that you don't and you shouldn't be. You should be giving yourself some room to maneuver. And you're not infallible. You need to be able to take in more information as well. So it's better to have good laid out policies around a few key issues, but not to in my opinion, like I think a bad thing that she did, just, you know, again, keeping in mind that her campaign is incredibly impressive. I think she wrote way too much shit down. I think she wrote way too much shit down, if I'm being honest. And I think she's trapping herself in positions that are not that important to her as a way of trying to fight off the I'm inexperienced, she doesn't know what she's doing attacks. And I feel like in particular, her positions on Taiwan, she put way too much down. AOC, when AOC went to Munich and people were like, AOC was like very coy. That's intelligent. That's the smart thing to do. She should not be going out there and laying out some deeply, like, because it's conditional. It depends upon what China says it does, right? Like, you need to give yourself some space to operate. You don't want to put too much down. Like, it was intelligent of AOC to be like, listen, I like the status quo. I want to be peaceful with China. And then that's it. You don't need to say more than that. AOC is endorsing Kat. Yes, because of Daniel Biss's influence. That's why, again, do you understand how impressive, if Kat were to win, how impressive that would be? It would be an AOC level win. I don't think people know that. And I want to communicate that. I feel like a lot of people get fixated on some of the again, rolling to the point of disagreement and fixating on the points of disagreement. First of all, that's antisocial behavior. Can I just tell you that? It is antisocial behavior to approach every single interaction with someone and try to focus on what you disagree on. That is antisocial behavior. It's weird. That being said, I'm not saying that you're antisocial for being critical of her policies on X, Y, and Z thing. I'm just saying that if you make your personality about finding points of disagreement and then fixating on them, that's antisocial. You have to be able to interact with people who have occasional bad takes you disagree with and focus on the many, many things you agree on. Let's say that Kat Abughazaleh just accomplished everything I agree with her on. Let's say that I helped Kat Abughazaleh accomplish everything we agree on. That would be fucking utopia, bro. You know what I mean? So can we be a little bit more sane? So nobody who watched only on YouTube, I love billionaires. Wait a minute, what's this guy? What did he say? He said, I love billionaires. We're better off than killer Mala. The West was systemically going to USA or China, murdering people. People want to blame Russia or China, but it's always America. Why'd you ban this guy? What did he say? How do we know that's not a Zionist psyop? My name is to hide from Asmoth beds. Okay, don't ban this guy. This guy might be a little annoying, but he's not bannable. So what stopped you from hyperfixating on her CIA grooming while in college? Realizing it's schizo behavior. It's schizo behavior. It is me treating her like in a way that I wouldn't want to be treated. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that it's not suggestive. It's just, it is, you know, red yarn posting. You know, it's never yet red yarn post. It is suggestive. It's something that should perk you up, and you go like, okay. So this is where her bad takes come from. She got them in college. Her bad takes come from her education at college. But you should not go completely schizo. What stopped you from listening to chat in the moment? I mean, now we're just being ridiculous. Now she wants Eddie D and the State Department to impose a fake government on the Palestinian people. More than a bad take. Okay, I don't think that's correct. I don't think that's a correct. I don't think that's a correct take. I don't think that's a correct take, bro. I think that is and it really comes down to this. I think it's okay for people who are Palestinian to oppose Hamas and be like, I don't think Hamas should be the parties that we like. Like, I think if a Palestinian says, I don't like Hamas, that's not a sign that they're a fucking CIA asset. You know what I mean? There's many political organizations in Palestine. That being said, I don't think white people should be looking at the resistance and being like, hey, Hamas is, you know, we got to destroy Hamas or whatever. And I think that take that's on her website is not a good take. And the reason why is because we're American. I think that Palestinians should have the right to self-determination. And the reason why Hamas has grown is because they are the only resistance group. They are the largest resistance group against Israel's apartheid and genocide. And so because they're seen as fighting it, they gain legitimacy on the ground. And I think it's weird for us in America to be like, I want to dictate what is happening in Gaza. I think that plays into Israel's hands. I don't disagree with your criticism, but you can be critical and still support someone. But Biss is the other choice. Someone who openly courted AIPAC funding until he got called out. That's more damning than any of Kat's weaknesses. Daniel Biss is pro-Israel. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is like, here's the reality. We have Daniel, we have Fine, who is AIPAC's stooge. We have Daniel Biss, who's a liberal Zionist who supports Israel. And we have Kat Abughazaleh, a Palestinian who calls for cutting off all weapons to Israel and prosecuting Benjamin Netanyahu and ICE. I'm sorry, guys. It's pretty clear who the best candidate is. It's not even really a debate, right? Now, if Daniel Biss wins, how would I feel? Not great. I would think that would be a missed opportunity. And that's how I would look at it. I feel like if Daniel Biss were to win, I would feel bad about it. It's updated. She walked it back. This does not surprise me at all. This is what I'm talking about with Kat. She has been updating her positions based on us criticizing. I mean, like, if I'm being completely honest with you, she's coming in our direction. As Hassan said, you know, I was radicalizing at this age. She's to the left of me when I was her age. And she has been marching through this campaign, and every time she thinks deeply about an issue or gets presented with new information, she has updated her position in our direction. That's good. That's good. And I want to reward that. I'm not criticizing politicians in order to like feel good about myself. I'm criticizing politicians so they change their position in my direction. And when they do, I want to give her credit. Daniel Biss would be another establishment Dem. Incorrect. Daniel Biss, like, here's the thing. I'm autistic and I'm honest. I am going to tell you exactly what will happen. Daniel Biss will be probably the 50th most progressive candidate in Congress. He will be probably slightly to the right of the woman of Jan, you know. He'll be a progressive, he'll be a liberal Zionist. He'll be like, we should have a two-state solution and we need and Netanyahu needs to go. That'll be his fucking take. Okay. Not exactly groundbreaking, but he'll be like, I support Medicare for all. I support the Green New Deal. So he'll be an Elizabeth Warren acolyte. I don't want an Elizabeth Warren acolyte. I'm sorry. That's not good enough for me. Is AIPAC of the other congressional races? Oh yeah. Indeed. But it's pretty clear cut in those races who's the good candidate and who's the bad candidate. If she was under trans people having surgery under any circumstance, you would not support her. Well, right, but she's not. She's in favor of trans people. That's another reason why she's excited. How's the polling looking? I think Kat's gonna win. Like, honestly, looking at the polling, the momentum is there. The grassroots is there. The pollsters are gonna underestimate youth and progressive turnout. I think she's gonna win. I honestly do think she's gonna win. And that's part of why I am like, you know what? Let's be honest about the achievement that this campaign is. Rashida Tlaib endorsed her. Like, guys, that's really good. The argument is lesser evilism. I'm going to inform you guys of something. every interaction you make with another person is lesser evilism because they're not you. Every interaction among equals, I should say, is a lesser evilism. Oh, okay. Security risk. I guess we're not going to go to that website then. Illinois' 9th is one of the most Jewish districts of the country, Skokie. If Kat does pretty well, it's just another instance of reference of Jewish Americans saying we reject Israel and its genocide, full stop. We already know the diaspora is split and quickly moving against Israel, but be a powerful statistic. It depends on the youth turnout. It's a generational gap. My face is a security risk. Yeah, so true. And she, by the way, her website has changed, chat. It doesn't have that thing about Hamas anymore. The Palestinian people must be given the freedom and sovereignty to choose their leadership without international interference of any kind. That's her position. I don't know what else to say. My guess is that, if I can be completely honest with you, chat, as somebody who ran for office, websites and positions and stuff, you throw them on there and then you forget about it. And sometimes, you know, in a congressional level campaign, it can be a task that you delegate to an advisor. My guess is that weirdo advisor put that shit on there and it never came up. Maybe she read it once and didn't notice, or her position has changed. I really love that you're able to pause, introspect, and amend your position when information is provided you. By the way, it's something that I really respect you with, Hassan. It's just called being normal and well-adjusted and an intelligent human being. Like, I consider changing my mind when facts or if I get given a good argument and I can't defeat it to be morally upright and correct. If somebody says something to me and I cannot come up with a reason why it's not the correct answer, I change my mind, which I think is probably really rare because people have been glazing me for it. And I'm like, not that big a deal. Like, what do you mean? I just changed my mind because people made good arguments. Like, what do you mean? like, I mean, maybe this is something that, you know, I got from being an elder millennial, and maybe it's like the intellectual environment that I was in and the professors that I got, and it's luck. But I was always taught that it's actually the smartest position to take when new information comes in and contradicts your worldview and you can't come up with a reason why it's incorrect, to change your mind. I was told that that's what it's for. That's what you're supposed to do. Well, your catchphrase isn't Mike was wrong. Because I changed my mind. Not because I'm God. Mike is right because I take in new information and adjust. That's why I'm right so much. Because I'm taking in new information and processing it and using it to adjust my worldview to a more accurate picture. That's why I'm right. It's like your eye works because it's constantly changing the focus. There isn't just like one correct focus. Your eye is adjusting based on the stimuli and the conditions that it's in order to provide you with a clear picture of the world around you. That's how your brain should work with ideas. Your brain should be like an eye, constantly adjusting based on the new inputs, not just sitting there and going, the world is black. It's black. No matter how much light shines in your eye. I want to say I'm extremely happy you reflected on this and changed your mind. You know what really affected me the most? What affected me the most was the tenor that people were treating other comrades. The way that other people were talking to each other. That I really did not vibe with. I've said this a lot, that you have to be comradely. And I feel like there is this kind of discord. There is this energy of temper tantrum that I do not fuck with. I think it's because people will often see me outraged and yelling at our political enemies, and then they use that as permission to then act that way to everybody. And that's the opposite of the reality. That's the opposite of what you should be doing toward your comrades. You should be creating a space where you could talk through the things without it becoming full of emotional baggage. The American left has a problem with what I call me moralism, and it's so annoying in organizing spaces. Oh, I couldn't agree more. That's why I don't like Bad and Panada. People in chat made the same argument as Hassan made regarding defeating APAC, and your response to them was, Biss is the same as Cat, so I don't care. Why did it take Hassan saying it to move you? No, that's not correct. That's not correct. Honestly, as I just explained it, I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. Seeing people acting in a non-comradely way toward each other, it just freaks me out. I don't like it. That's what wrecker shit is. That's why I don't like somebody like, for example, Cinemarxism. The reason why I don't like Cinemarxism is because he's not a Marxist. He doesn't act in a comradely manner toward people he disagrees. He was happy to call me an anti-Semite for clout. He was happy to to cause damage to the space for his own advancement. That's not how we do. That's not how we do. And that's how I felt people were acting. And I was like, you know what? I don't agree with that. And that's why it bothered me. It's like seeing a recording of yourself having a crash out and going, damn, that's embarrassing. I did a crash out. I don't want to do crash outs anymore. Brett crashed out over Zoran doing a photo op. You crashed out over his cats at the time. No longer applicable policy. Big difference. I mean, yeah, obviously he's dumber than me in every way, but like I felt like our community was acting like a Bad and Padada community or a Brett community. And I don't want to have a community like that. I don't want to have a sexist weirdo community. Like, you know, I don't want to have a community that treats other socialists like the enemy. I hate that shit. So it was something that made me reflect. Will I apologize to Kat? Yeah, for sure. I already have, which is in my video. But I will, when I talk to her, I'm gonna be glazing Kat, and I'm going to be giving her suggestions. And the reason why I feel that way is she removed the terrible thing. Like Ryan Grimm went through her website, and everybody should thank Ryan Grimm, by the way. If you're one of those people that's saying Ryan Grimm is taking AIPAC money, you need to get your shit together. You need to slap yourself in the face. Ryan Grimm is helping Kat get a better campaign and be better in office. So that's that. Let's start talking about this stupid fucking war, which is the most important thing that we should be considering and talking about, which is caused by Israel.
Prices are way down.
So we have a very stupid war. New GDF. Guys, do you remember when Bad and Padada called GDF an anti-Semite and John Mersheimer an anti-Semite because he'd never read the Israel lobby? You remember Bad and Padada trashing GDF as an anti-Semite and John Mersheimer as an anti-Semite? Now he's out there spouting Zog.
We just had 4 states. It was just reported that 4 states had $1.99 a gallon. Right?
Trump should have had ample warning that toppling the Iranian government was not going to happen. On March 7th, the Washington Post revealed that a classified report by the National Intelligence Council found that even a large-scale assault on Iran launched by the United States would be unlikely to oust the Islamic Republic's entrenched military and clerical establishment. The report was completed about a week before the United States and Israel initiated the war. The intelligence concluded that Iran's clerical and military establishment would respond to the killing of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei by following protocols designed to preserve continuity of power. Further, the prospect of Iran's fragmented opposition taking control of the country was described as, quote, unlikely. The source of the report, the National Intelligence Council, is composed of veteran analysts who produce classified assessments meant to represent the collective wisdom of Washington's 18 intelligence agencies. One would think that, if Congress had any integrity at all, they'd launch investigations. Given there was ample evidence that a war to topple the regime would be fruitless, everything that preceded and followed the war, especially the scores of deaths, should be scrutinized, especially if, say, the government lied about Iran's nuclear program or the imminent threat from Iran against the United States. Something else that should be scrutinized is whether the war was launched in the interest of a foreign country.
They were going to attack all of the Middle East and Israel, and if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it on Israel.
Hey everyone, I am a one-man operation, and I need all the support I can get. I want to thank everyone who has become a patron. Your support means the world and is essential for me to be able to produce more videos. There's exclusive content on my Patreon as well that I can't show on YouTube. Love you all. Take care. This press gag.
BE being mean on Twitter is somehow worse. The cat saying she opposes Palestinian self-determination 24 hours ago. She literally just said she just updated her website. Her website was incorrect. Her website was probably written by that fired foreign policy advisor. And you could yell at her for making a mistake and say, that's not, you made a mistake there, Kat. You should have double checked all the work that guy did. But when she became aware of it, she changed it in the direction we want. At a certain point, like, what do you want me to do? Whip her? If somebody comes, again, why are you yelling at politicians if you don't want them to come in your direction? I want to yell at politicians, and when they cave, I want to pat them on the head and give them a treaty treat. Let me guess. If you've ever had a dog who used to take a big shits in the middle of the living room, if you want your dog to not take a big fat shit in the middle of your living room, when they go outside and poop, you give them a treat and say, good boy. You do positive reinforcement when the dog does what you want. Same thing with any politician. Think of politicians like a dog. This is gender neutral. I'm not trying to say that it's Mike is saying, think about a 26-year-old Palestinian woman like a, okay, I'm not saying that, okay, you fucking pieces of shit. Don't try to fucking Marxism me, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the class of entity known as politician. Okay? Jesus. Mike, did you talk about the Antifa people arrested for wearing black, essentially? Yes. No, I haven't talked about it, and I will. Maybe not today, though. Why is your homeboy in a side quest? Doesn't it just suck when you're good at something, but you have a friend who's better than you? People think I'm Salieri and Hassan is Mozart. You know, like, no. I'm old ass Salieri. You know, like, I'm self-reflective Salieri. I love the fact that I get to see Mozart. Doesn't mean my shit sucks. It just means that I'm in this. If anything, my association with him will make me more famous. That's good for me. My God. Vio just scared the shit out of the cats. And they just like ran into the wall running away from her. What the fuck? Not arrested, convicted. Yeah. We'll talk about that. Anyway, let's watch the GDF video and not get ADHD like we already have had for like fucking an hour and a half now.
We just had 4 states.
Was
it was
I
just reported
homeschooled?
that 4
Absolutely
states
not.
had
I went to public schools every single year of my life. I went to public schools, then I went to a public university, then I went to a public law school. Not 1 year of private instruction for me. Okay, this is apparently I had the video open twice.
On Air Force One from March 7th is enlightening.
Don't forget October 7th. Don't forget all of the things that have happened over the years, all caused by these people. So,
Absent a teleprompter, Trump can't string together more than one reason to justify bombing Iran other than October 7th.
they are among the most evil people ever on earth. They cut babies' heads off. They chop women in half. What they did, take a look at October 7th. Take a look at what they've done over the last 47 years.
Complete with references to
That's just completely made up. That's just completely made up.
beheaded babies, Trump has become nothing more than a melodramatic Israeli diplomat. Rather than reaching and outright lying about Iran's role in IEDs in Iraq and the USS Cole bombing, Trump references an attack on Israel and not the United States. He doesn't even seem to try to assure these reporters that the war in Iran is anything but a war for Israel. I also couldn't help but notice that during the course of the briefing, Trump referenced his gut with regard to his policy decisions.
We will start at the appropriate time, which is basically a gut instinct. We will start filling up these strategic reserves.
I looked into this some more and found that back in 2018, he gave an interview to the Washington Post where he said, "My gut tells me more sometimes than anybody else's brain can ever tell me." Indeed, Trump has vaunted his gut instinct for decades. In his 1987 book, The Art of the Deal, he suggests, listen to your gut, no matter how good something sounds on paper. Indeed, go with your gut appears in Career Advice from the Donald, from his 2004 book, How to Get Rich. Another way to put that would be, he acts on impulse, and now that he's president, the world at large is at the mercy of that. Evidently, it is a terrible way to conduct foreign policy. The Financial Times, in reporting on Netanyahu's 7th visit to Washington since Trump's second term began, wrote, "Pressure from Netanyahu could also mark an inflection point for a U.S. president whom analysts say is prone to gut-level policy shifts based on his most recent conversations." They quoted Colin Dweck, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. "He's erratic. He's one of these leaders who listens to the last person who talks to him." It has to be said that Trump is also extraordinarily vain, and any stroking of his ego makes him highly vulnerable to manipulation. Netanyahu appears to have sold Trump on joining an attack on Iran this way. The Wall Street Journal just recently published a story about this process. As opposed to Netanyahu's longtime public diplomacy before TV cameras broadcasting to the American public,
you have to dismantle the entire terror empire, and especially before its main practitioners, the terror states of Iran and Iraq, acquire nuclear weapons. And this, I think, has been a wake-up call from hell.
This is the greatest terrorist regime in the world, and we don't want him to have the ultimate weapon of terror, which is nuclear weapons.
Now, he has taken an unusual backseat role in driving the public rhetoric in the U.S. Netanyahu has emphasized Trump's central role in the war and credited the president with key decisions, portraying him as the driving force behind the effort against Iran. In television interviews and public statements, Netanyahu has stressed that Trump acts in America's interests and makes his own decisions. That approach is playing to Trump's instincts. Quote, he has figured out how to persuade and partner with and flatter Trump in ways that have been extremely effective in advancing his goals, said Daniel Shapiro, a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East. The Israeli defense minister gave an interview to Channel 12 shortly after the U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran, where he spoke about the planning for the operation. He reveals that the goal for the elimination of the Khamenei regime was hatched, not surprisingly, by Netanyahu.
We were already in November when we sat with the Prime Minister in a very small forum, and the Prime Minister set a goal to eliminate the Khamenei regime in November. And in consultation with the IDF and the Mossad.
As Mark Mazzetti of the New York Times concluded in a video news analysis,
I think the story of the last couple of months is just how much Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel was behind President Trump's decision to go to war in Iran.
Trump's thinking is all.
This is where being a doctrinaire leftist will get you in trouble, because people just want to go, no, Israel is a puppet of the United States. It is a proxy of the United States. Nothing the United States is doing would be against the United States' interest because the United States is doing it. And they have this kind of like perfectly closed bubble theory that ignores all the outside evidence, and they just latch on to their bubble theory about how, no, it's really about capitalism. No, it's really about this. Oh, it's really about that, which is anti-Marxist, by the way. What made Marx special was that he considered ideas to have. What happened? He considered ideas to have impact on material reality. So it wasn't just, oh, we have the base and the superstructure and that's the way things are and it's a perfect circle and everything that's happening up here in the superstructure is happening purely because it's in the interest of the base and blah, blah, blah. It's way more complicated than that. This is not about really about the petrodollar. This is not really about some other American interest. That is not understanding. That's not understanding how politics actually functions, how human beings actually interact. It's actually kind of an anti-materialist, anti-Marxist opinion. It's a kind of Marx had a term for this. He would make fun of people that were like this. He would call them, what was it, chat? Do you guys remember? He would call them like mechanistic materialists, something like that. You guys, some of my fellow mechanical materialists or something like that. That's not reality. America is not doing this because it's good for America and empire. It's doing this because of the way that the empire functioned, created institutions that have now taken on a life of their own. I'm sorry to use the cordyceps analogy, but I think it is apt. The Israeli lobby has now cordycept American politics into doing things that are self-destructive for American interests, but in the interest of the fungus. And I think a lot of people will be like, well, no, some ants, farm cordyceps. And so every time a cordyceps and an ant are interacting, it's actually in the advantage of the ant. And it's like, no. What happened is America set up a puppet. They attached to Israel as a puppet. And that puppet and that state started to act on America. And it became a symbiotic relationship. The Israel lobby and the Israelis started to become more and more inured into America's foreign policy decision-making apparatus, and they have hijacked it for their own interests. And that's not anti-Semitism. That's just an understanding of the nature of how politics actually works in America. And I'll explain it deeper so you understand what I'm saying is not an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory or whatever. Israel has AIPAC, a foreign lobby organization in America. That foreign lobby organization has Americans that are allied with it who value Israel's interests, and they donate money. And individual politicians are given a choice: support AIPAC's position or lose your election or have millions of dollars spent against you. So politicians who support Israel, no matter what Israel is doing, with no thought, like John Fetterman, they get Israel money and they have a higher chance of winning their election. And then they start getting support from other politicians that are AIPAC politicians. And so there is a huge influence operation. And there are institutions in America who make money from Israel's wars. So there are people that are not just Israeli supporters that also support what Israel's doing because, say, they're arms contractors and they pour money in. And so you have so it wouldn't matter if Israel was Buddhist. The same fucking situation could arise. It's not about it being Jewish. It's about the nature of how the foreign state lobby organization has corrupted our politics. That it's not a Jewish nature. It is a state that has captured our politicians through deftly operating our political system for their own benefit. Other countries try to do it. They do it less effectively. And so, like, it is stupid to be like, no, this is actually good for America. If anything, this imperils the petrodollar. America's not attacking Iran for the petrodollar. If anything, this imperils the petrodollar. CIA would analyze the same thing. They would say, well, you're forcing the Strait of Hormuz closed. The Arab street, the regular Arab citizen of our allied countries hates Israel. The reason why American puppet states in the Gulf have operated is because they were allowed to create strategic ambiguity toward Israel. They were allowed to create the situation where they pretended not to be allies of Israel while actually being allies of Israel. And what this war in Iran is doing is forcing them out into the open, forcing them to pick a side. And their people reject Israel. Their people will rise up and are rising up against supporting Israel. That's why the Gulf states aren't entering the war on the side of the U.S., because they don't have institutional legitimacy with their population. So they are in a bind. If they support Israel, they will face revolt at home. They will face an Arab Spring at home. They will face domestic insurgency. They will lose stability. They will lose the ability to make the fucking money selling oil, which all they want to do are puppet states. So if anything, they're probably looking at this and going, we don't even sell oil to America. We spent all that money bribing Trump and we're not getting anything for it. They're imperiling the bag. They're touching the money. This is not about, it's not about Jewishness. It's not about anti-Semitism. It is about Israel is a state. They have a spy agency. That spy agency is using their organizations they control in the United States to influence American policy in their advantage. It's not because they're Jewish that they're doing it. It's because they're fucking spies. And they have a country. That's why. It's not that complicated. And the Gulf states tried to do the same thing. Gulf states tried to bribe the United States for their own advantage. That's why they did the Kushner bribes. Here's a Kuwaiti analyst talking about it.
We need to know that you cannot appease Zionists. You cannot buy influence. Look at Jared Kushner. We know how much he took from the Gulf. It's open source public info. And now the same countries that gave him all that money for zero return are facing strikes and bombs. And they're trying to make it seem as if it is our duty to carry on the job that Israel wants to continue, which is a very crazy idea to begin with. So we need to change the way we think how we can influence Washington. We need to know.
And there you have it. Now, why is Israel more influential on American politics than the Gulf is? Well, because there are more Americans that are true believers in supporting Israel. It's not that, so their lobby is stronger. It has more money. They have more billionaire supporters. They have more grassroots supporters. And so the spy agencies, when they build up ADL or they build up AIPAC, they have more money to work with. It's not that complicated. Entering war's third week, Trump faces stark choices as the conflict with Iran expands and intensifies. President Trump's options to fight on or move toward declaring victory and pulling back both carry deeply problematic consequences. You don't say.
The more bewildering when considering that, prior to the war in Iran, he was facing mounting pressure over affordability. Despite being publicly dismissive on the issue,
It was a con job. Affordability, they call it, was a con job by the Democrats.
Trump put forward a number of policy proposals that were obvious attempts to address affordability woes. After all, just under half of Republicans polled by Pew Research were happy with the state of the economy, from a survey published in early October. In early November, Democrats had won gubernatorial elections in New Jersey and Virginia.
Gubernatorial. I know it doesn't make sense, but it is gubernatorial, even though it looks like gubernatorial.
By comfortable margins, raising the alarm for Republicans ahead of the midterms. And so Trump floated $2,000 checks paid for by tariffs, 50-year mortgages, lowering tariffs on produce. He also mulled a 10% cap on credit card interest rates for a year. In a December speech on the economy, Trump sought...
One of the things that makes me really... By the way, since we're talking about goop, side point, have you guys seen how much Burnt Peanut is getting made fun of now? How far he fell off? That was another example of Mike was right. I read that fucking guy to filth. I was the first Burnt Peanut hater. And by the way, I wanted to like Burnt Peanut when he first started blowing up. But then I looked into him and I was like, yeah, he's a conservative. And that's because he was playing with myth. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. This guy might not be so bad. And then they started making jokes about how myth is black. And I guess they fell out. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, this guy sucks. This guy's a conservative. And basically he's revealed it. You know, he's been like pro-Iran war, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Talking about shock Kaya Gate, which is totally bullshit.
To defend his administration against charges of an affordability crisis.
They have a new word. You know, they always have a hoax. The new word is affordability.
In a moment that has aged poorly, Trump mentions the low cost of oil. More than that, he asserts that low energy prices are paramount and lead to other costs falling as well.
You know, our oil prices are coming down very substantially, energy prices. And honestly, with that, everything comes down because there's nothing nearly in the category of oil. That's why you're seeing oil per barrel coming down nicely, very nicely. But when energy comes down, your other prices come down too, all of your prices.
About the worst thing he could have done for affordability, it turns out, is start a new war in the Middle East. Additionally, his dismissive response to the ensuing rise in costs for gas, one would think, is not doing him any favors. In an interview with Reuters, he comes across as callous. I don't have any concern about it, he said, when asked about the higher prices at the pump. They'll drop very rapidly when this is over, and if they rise, they rise. But this is far more important than having gasoline prices go up a little bit.
We figured oil prices would go up, which they will. They'll also come down. They'll come down very fast, and we will have gotten rid of a major cancer on the face of the earth. We will have taken out a cancer. You know, don't forget October 7th. Don't forget all of the things that have happened over the years, all caused by these people. So
many in Trump's inner circle are scrambling to find ways to contain the fallout. An energy industry executive told Politico that the White House is looking under every rock for ideas on improving energy prices, especially gasoline prices. Energy Secretary Chris Wright and other advisors focused on energy policy are getting screamed at to find some good news on bringing down prices, the executive said. The fact that diesel has increased even faster than petrol, even if you don't have a diesel engine, can hamper shipping. As CNN put it, nearly every item in your home was on a truck at some point, which mostly runs on diesel. Farmers may be some of the worst affected, as farmers depend on diesel to power their tractors and combines, as well as deliver the fertilizer they need to grow crops and get their product to market. The blockage of the Strait of Hormuz is also sending jet fuel prices soaring, write the Washington Post. This affects not only commercial travel, but also air freight, as certain products generally travel by air, including computer chips, electronics, aerospace components, medical goods. Moving on from the economic cost to the United States, a grave concern especially now for the White House, there is also the enormous cost to American military readiness and weapon stockpiles. On March 7th, the Wall Street Journal warned, soldiers are burning through air defense interceptors to fend off Iranian missile and drone attacks. U.S. Navy destroyers have fired volleys of Tomahawk missiles. They spoke to Tom Carrico, a senior fellow at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. He said it has been a recurring pattern that Central Command uses the long-range missiles that Indo-Pacific Command is going to need on a bad day. Reviewing their military capabilities, China is a formidable rival. With one of the world's biggest missile arsenals, a large naval fleet, and unrivaled manufacturing might. It aims to absorb Taiwan and hasn't ruled out the use of force to do so. A contingency America's military and defense industrial base are struggling to prepare for.
If I was Xi Jinping, I would strongly consider invading Taiwan right now. And why am I saying that? Well, because Taiwan represents a serious security threat to the Chinese mainland. And the United States has pulled out a lot of the defenses that they had in the Pacific region. The problem with that is it is incredibly risky and it might cause World War III. So that's why I think Xi Jinping is not going to do that. Now, by the way, I'm not saying that's a good idea or I support it. I'm just saying that to be a good analyst, you have to be able to wear the hat of people on the other side of the table. You have to be able to look at their perspective and go, what is China thinking right now? What China is thinking is America is overstretched. America's interceptors are being expended. America has removed their THAAD systems from their bases in South Korea. If we were to do rocket strikes and cruise missile strikes on South Korean American bases, if they try to interfere with Taiwan, there would be no defenses. We might be able to actually surround and invade Taiwan. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the consideration. Literal, it's not tanky shit to think about for the other side. What would be what is the opportunity that's being created? Taiwan represents an existential threat to China's security. That's how they believe. They believe having a Taiwan that is hostile to the mainland significantly impairs their security. And they're right. Can you imagine if we had can you imagine if Vancouver Island was full of Chinese bases and Russian bases? We would all rightfully consider it to be a very dangerous national security threat. Imagine if Manhattan Island was full of bases. I mean, that's a little bit close, but you get my point. So if China is intending to invade Taiwan, they may do it. If the United States does a ground invasion of Iran, I think China may invade Taiwan because they have to. They have to. They're basically forced. Their oil has been cut off. Their economy is imperiled. So that's part of the thing that I'm scared about is I want diplomacy. I want peace in Taiwan. That's part of the reason why I don't want us to invade Iran. Soviets put nukes on Cuba. We're still traumatized that almost a century later. But they didn't put nukes. They tried to put nukes. They tried to put nukes in Cuba, and we almost had a nuclear war over it. So that's part of why this is so insane and so dangerous.
If Beijing ordered an invasion and America decided to fight, U.S. troops would need mountains of munitions to strike Chinese ships crossing the Taiwan Strait and shoot down Chinese barrages. They additionally quote Michael Horowitz, who served as U.S.
Guys, I don't think people understand how far ahead China is of any of our other competitors. They have their own space station, bro. They have their own fucking space station. They're landing on the dark side of the fucking moon, okay? This is not Iran. This is a country of 1.4 billion people with an economy that's bigger than ours, with more shipbuilding, with more rocket building. They have the industrial capacity we do not have. If China went into a war footing, they would outproduce us 100-1, and they'd outnumber us 5-1. And if that is the calculation, nuclear war is now going onto the table. The United States might fire nuclear weapons. That's why we showed Threads. Last Friday, we watched the movie Threads. And when you watch Threads, I want you to understand that's how you would feel in a nuclear war. You would be powerless and you would be fucked.
U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense in the Biden administration, who judged China's capabilities are, quote, an order of magnitude more challenging than Iran's. Think everything Iran has at the lower end, plus a huge quantity of higher-end weapons as well, that would require even more substantial air defenses to defeat. Showing how costly fighting Israel's wars is to the U.S., during the 12-day war with Iran last year, it moved 2 THAAD air defense systems to Israel and fired more than 150 missiles to shoot down Iranian ballistic missiles, nearly a quarter of the interceptors ever purchased by the Pentagon. Now,
I think we need to watch something on THAAD so you guys understand that this system is fucking insane. It's like doing a launch to space every single time we use it. It is not like a little handheld rocket. It's like doing a launch to fucking space. That's why they're so expensive.
the Pentagon is scrambling to reload. In January, it's...
THAAD, you know what THAAD is really for? Swatting down nuclear rockets from, like, North Korea. Right? Like, that's what THAAD's really for. But we're now using it to swat down any attack on Israel. That's not sustainable. It's not sustainable to use this type of weapon in the way that we're using it. We're using a weapon that is supposed to be part of a nuclear shield for conventional arms. It's dumb as fuck.
Signed deals with Lockheed Martin to dramatically expand annual production capacity for interceptors. The increase is expected
from 96 to 400 per year. Patriot systems are supposed to be used against nuclear strategic bombers and fighter jets. That's what these are for. We're using them on dumb drones. These are supposed to be high-tier defenses for high-tier weapons. These are weapons that are supposed to prevent our troops from getting bombed by enemy jets and bombers and our cities from being nuked. And we're using them to shoot Shahed drones that cost $30,000. It's fucking stupid.
To happen over 7 years. In conclusion, for years, the U.S. has said it would shift its attention to Asia, but has remained bogged down elsewhere. Patriot missiles are also vital for another theater in which the U.S. has committed enormous amounts of resources. A separate journal article reads, Russia is one of the biggest winners in the early days of the largest U.S. military confrontation in decades. As Iranian missiles deplete stocks of Patriot interceptors that Ukraine needs for its defense. For us, this is a matter of life, Ukrainian President Zelensky said of the interceptors. What should be alarming to American officials, U.S. and NATO adversaries, including China, Russia, and Iran, are closely tracking interceptor expenditures, according to intelligence and defense officials. Their military doctrines increasingly emphasize mass production of cheap drones and ballistic missiles designed to overwhelm Western stockpiles. In other words, America's adversaries are aware that Western defense contractors produce too few interceptors too slowly and have redesigned their strategies
Look at how this shit is being bespoke grinded. China will have a fully automated factory. Like, what the fuck is this shit? What is this, 1880? Like, what the fuck are we doing?
reflect that. Another way that Russia benefits? Making Russian oil and gas indispensable for the Western economies would certainly be a prize for Putin, said Alexandra Prokopenko, a former advisor to the Russian Central Bank and a fellow...
That's the other thing. People have this idea that, like, Russia, China, and Iran are like an axis that are closely aligned. They're not, because they don't agree politically. Their ideologies do not line up. They do not agree. China is an oil consumer. Russia is an oil producer. They have different interests and different incentives. Russia, their incentive is to drag this war on. That means more profit for their oil, less weapons going to Ukraine. So they want this war to drag on. China is the opposite. They want this war to end so that they can have their economy continuing to do well as they improve the standard of living and size of the Chinese economy. They want to focus on building up their own country so that they can become the world's dominant power. So they don't have any incentive to have their economy fucked with.
At the Carnegie Russia Eurasia Center, the journal's editorial board, however, urges the U.S. to continue the war. Ignore oil prices. But just a day after oil reached $100 a barrel, and it would reach as much as 120 per barrel, Trump seemed to be looking for a way out. Speaking to Republican lawmakers at his golf club in Florida, Trump repeatedly emphasized that it was a short affair.
We took a little excursion because we felt we had to do that to get rid of some evil. And I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion. Short-term. Short-term.
A far cry from his earlier vow to fight for as much as 5 weeks or longer.
You know, if we didn't do that B-2 attack, Israel would have been wiped out. They would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks after that. They were going to attack all of the Middle East and Israel. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it on Israel.
Just after this speech, he gave a press briefing where he was asked,
You called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over? Are
No,
you
but
talking
soon.
about days?
I think so.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to
soon.
Amazingly, Trump says the threat from Iran was eliminated days prior.
The big risk on that war has been over for 3 days. We wiped them out in the first 2 days.
On March 9th, the Wall Street Journal reported that some of Trump's advisors urged him to look for an exit plan amid spiking oil prices and concerns that a lengthy conflict could spark political backlash, though he didn't provide a clear timeline for ending the Iran operation. What's more, after saying on Monday that the war might be over soon, the president added, "We could go further and we're..."
I saw recently a fact about the end of the British Empire, where they had a rebellion in Afghanistan early in the 20th century. And they spent more money on putting down that rebellion in Afghanistan than they did on the entire education system in the United Kingdom that year. And it's like, that's what we're doing in America now. We have this bloated military budget, which is not even really serving our interests anymore. It's just a parasitical barnacle on our ship of state, slowing us down from going anywhere, destroying our future. For what? Oh, I saw this post. I can't verify that this is real, but we are so cooked. What are 5K Marines going to do in Iran? I mean, I think they could probably take Karg Island, right? But, or whatever, however you pronounce it. But as far as like invading or at least they could try, right? But as far as like going into the mainland or securing the entire strait, nah. And then they'll be sitting on the island as drones fly in and they get murked.
Going to go further. Trump has hinted in public and told aides in private that he would back the killing of the younger Khamenei if he proves unwilling to cede to U.S. demands, current and former U.S. officials said. But some of Trump's advisors have encouraged him to just declare victory already. They've also briefed him on public opinion polls showing most Americans oppose the war. Some of Trump's advisors watched with alarm as oil prices shot to over $100 a barrel. They have also fielded calls about the midterm elections from some nervous Republicans. When the price of gas and oil rise, so does everything else. Given affordability was already an issue, this leads to real challenges, said Stephen Moore, an outside economic advisor to Trump. CNN called the current oil crisis the biggest oil disruption in history. In his first public statement following his appointment as the new supreme leader of Iran, Mojtaba Khamenei vowed to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed. I've noticed that Trump...
I think one of the things to keep in mind about, Karg Island or any kind of action that the Marines might take is that they're going to be supported by entire wings of air cover. Like, I think people are not understanding the level of, so it's not just going to be all those Marines. It's going to be an unbelievable amount of air power. And you know, I'm sure there's all sorts of other covert shit going on. Like, anytime I hear a Marine Expeditionary Force is going anywhere, I think it's very, very unwise to think that the United States is not going to do something stupid, right? They may be moving the Marines there to protect American embassies, maybe to reinforce Arab states from domestic or insurgencies. Like, maybe they're moving the 2.5 Marines to, say, Riyadh, right? Like, you know, there's all sorts of things that you guys are not really considering, and you should not ever discount the United States military. The moment you start doing that, you are going to be killed. And it's not because I think the US military is some amazing super thing. It's just, we spend $1 trillion fucking dollars. Like, I don't think you understand what $1 trillion means on the fucking military. We can reach out and kill someone. There's no doubt about that. That's different than winning a war. Never underestimate the insanity that we may do with the military. The moment you do, that's where you're going to look stupid. I want you to be intelligent leftists. And I want you to forever, and this is a very important piece of maturity that is very difficult to handle, but I need you to get a handle of it. Just because a side is in the wrong doesn't mean they're going to lose. This is not a video game. This is not a movie. Don't sit there and cope. I think a lot of people learn the wrong lesson from war. Because, like, you read about World War II, right? And you see the Allies win World War II, and you see the liberations, and you see the victories. You see everything as a completed film. That's not how it's experienced. There were years and years and years where the Axis side just won, and there was no hope. You need to, like, recognize that things are, you know, things aren't going to just wrap up cleanly and nicely and fast just because one side is in the wrong. So, you know, Donald Trump may be an idiot. The United States military may be an illegal empire doing invasions against the will of the American people, but it doesn't mean it's going to be peaches and cream for the people resisting it.
And the neoconservative journalists who cheer him on have argued for continuing the war to ensure that Iran won't be able to wield the strait as a weapon against the global economy. We've been held hostage, as they say, and this war will keep that from happening again. But this is obviously implying regime change, and the columnists and editorial writers who are perpetuating this fantasy are being dishonest. This is evident from the National Intelligence Council report, and as has been observed ad nauseum elsewhere, there is no historic precedent for regime change through aerial bombardment. This raises questions about what Israel really gets out of this war, if not regime change. I read a helpful and extremely worrisome article from Joshua Leifer, an analyst and historian at Haaretz. He wrote on March 13th, "Don't fall for the regime change talk. Israel is mowing the lawn in Iran." Kisua Chadeshe in Hebrew. Contrary to the overheated rhetoric of regime change emanating from Netanyahu and his ministers, Israel's military did not embark on this war with the objective of toppling the Islamic Republic. Israeli Air Force strategists know all too well that no modern regime has been overthrown by air power alone. Israel cannot actually achieve the total victory of which its most delusional propagandists have begun to dream.
And that's true. But that may be a decade of insurgency and God knows what else. You know, like you know, that may be 1 million dead. I mean, 5 million people have been killed by the global war on terror. So, you know, like, Jesus Christ.
Instead, Israel seeks to degrade and deter Iran and its military capabilities so that Iran cannot threaten Israel in the future. If striking Iran had previously been imagined as an impossibly risky endeavor, in the span of less than 2 years, it has come to seem to many Israelis as almost mundane, as has the reality of unceasing war. That makes future Israeli strikes in Iran more likely, even after the current fighting ends.
I mean, chat, GDF continues to share banger after banger. If you're not a GDF subscriber, what's wrong with you? It continues to put out fact-based, intellectually stimulating, well-researched arguments without even a hint of anti-Semitism. I just want to point that, unlike Bad Empanada, who has now become a drama slop tuber posting anti-Semitic tropes. How the mighty have fallen. All right, chat. Let us check out the White House press conference with Donald Trump. Jesus Christ. Holy fucking hell. God damn it. This is so fucking embarrassing. This is the White House page. Welcome to the golden age. My God. Such an embarrassing cringe lord, bro. Holy fuck. Who likes this fucking guy? Honestly, liking Donald Trump is the most boomer-coded shit I've ever seen.
No place like the White House. Do we agree? Right, Mr. Kraft? No place like the White House. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. And we'll maybe discuss a couple of general topics. This is a board meeting for the Trump Kennedy Center, but we'll go into a couple of other things that we have the media present.
This is live, chat.
It's always present, unfortunately, constantly. And I'll say a few words about what's happening in the Middle East. And if you have a couple of questions, we'll do that, and then we'll get on with our board meeting. So thank you very much for being here. We have a wonderful group of very, very smart, talented patriots at this table.
Where's JD Vance, your vice president? How come JD Vance is hiding? I can't believe Donald Trump is letting JD Vance hide and not say anything about the Iran war. That's kind of interesting.
Our powerful military campaign to end the threats posed by the Iranian regime continued in full force over the past few days. They have been literally obliterated. The Air Force is gone. The Navy is gone. Many, many ships have been sunk. They're warfighting ships, but I guess they didn't know how to use them. And anti-aircraft is decimated. Their radar is gone, and their leaders are gone. Other than that, they're doing quite well. They've been a terror for 47 years, and now I guess the world, through the United States, with the help of Israel, is doing what should have been done many years ago. Should have been done many years ago. Since the beginning of the conflict, we've struck more than 7,000 targets across Iran, and these have been mostly commercial and military targets. We've achieved a 90% reduction in their ballistic missile launches and a 95% reduction in drone attacks. The missiles are trickling in now at very low levels because they don't have too many missiles left. We've also attacked the manufacturing plants, where the places where they manufacture the missiles and the drones, and that's going on today. We just hit 3 of them today, and it's getting very hard for them to manufacture. More than 100 Iranian naval vessels have been sunk or destroyed over the last week and a half. That has to be some kind of a record. Additional strikes continue to launch from all directions every single hour. And as you know, we attacked Carg Island and knocked it literally, destroyed everything on the island except for the area where the oil is. I call it the pipes. We left the pipes. We didn't want to do that, but that we will do that. We can do that on 5 minutes notice. It'll be over. But for purposes of someday rebuilding that country, I guess we did the right thing. But it may not stay that way. Just one simple word and the pipes will be gone too, but it'll take a long time to rebuild.
I'm sorry for pausing and just, these people are against renewable energy, by the way. These people are against renewable energy, by the way. America has some of the most intense sunlight and wind in the entire planet. We have some of the most largest hydrological basins for dams. We have some of the best locations on the planet for geothermal power. We have our own uranium reserves. And this dumb motherfucker is against all of those things. Also, you can't be dependent on solar panels from China. Solar panels last 25 years. If someone gives you a solar panel, they just gave you a 25-year get out of jail free card. The moment I get the solar panel, I go, ha, thanks for power for 25 fucking years. What are you gonna do? 25 years from now, I'm gonna lose 10% of my power output. Oh, fuck, I'm so screwed. Like, what are you saying? What are you talking about? It doesn't even make sense. What the fuck are you saying?
That we are aggressively dismantling Iran's defense industrial base and ability to rebuild its missiles and drone capability is getting down to close to zero. And we're hammering their capacity to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz with more than 30 mine-laying ships destroyed. We hit, to the best of our knowledge, all of their mine-laying ships. Now they can put them on other types of ships, I guess, and drop them in. But we don't know that any have even been dropped in. We're not sure that any have been. That's a big negative for them if they do it. It's a form of suicide. But we don't know that they have dropped any in. But we've hit all 30 of their ships and destroyed them. They're all at the bottom of the sea. We strongly encourage other nations whose economies depend on the Strait far more than ours. You know, we get less than 1% of our oil from the Strait, and some countries get much more. Japan gets 95%. China gets 90%. Many of the Europeans get quite a bit. South Korea gets 35%. So we want them to come and help us with the Strait. We have it in very good shape. The countries, I said, we've already taken care of Iran, but now, because of the fact that literally a single terrorist can put something in the water or shoot something or shoot a missile, a small missile, and it's fairly close range because it is a tight area, and which is one of the reasons they've always used that as a weapon. Iran has always used that as an economic weapon, and it's not going to be able to be used very long. Numerous countries have told me they're on the way. Some are very enthusiastic about it, and some aren't. Some are countries that we've helped for many, many years. We've protected them from horrible outside sources, and they weren't that enthusiastic. And the level of enthusiasm matters to me. We have some countries where we have 45,000 soldiers, great soldiers, protecting them from harm's way. And we have done a great job. And when we want to know, do you have any minesweepers? Well, would rather not get involved, sir. I said, for 40 years we're protecting you, and you don't want to get.
Hey, if you want somebody to help you, you should ask them before you do the fucking thing. If I'm at a bar and there's some asshole who's acting up, and my friends are sitting there drinking and flirting with someone else, not paying attention, and I just go up and start swinging, I might be surprised if they stutter step before they jump in. I would like for them to just jump in, but out of respect for them, if I'm going to start launching an attack on someone else, I should probably go, hey, that guy's a real asshole. We should kick him out of the bar and then talk to them before I jump the fuck in. It's just called common courtesy. The U.S. starts fucking swinging on someone drunkenly, gets arrested, and then they're like, what? Why did you guys jump in? Why did you guys jump in? Hey, asshole, you're the dick. The markets are not liking this conference so far. Oil is up again.
Involved in something that is very minor. Very few shots going to be taken because they don't have many shots left. But they said, we'd rather not get involved. I just want the fake news media and everybody else to remember that was said, because I've been a big critic of all of the protecting of countries, because I know that we'll protect them. And if we ever needed help, they won't be there for us. I've just known that for a long period of time, just like I knew about the Strait, that it would be a weapon, which I predicted a long time ago. Predicted all of this stuff. You guys were very generous in that. I predicted all of it. I predicted Osama bin Laden would knock out the World Trade Center. I made that prediction a year before he did it. I said, you better get him. He's a bad.
They had already bombed it, you fucking dumbass. They had already bombed it. It's not like people were surprised they were targeting the World Trade Center. They had already bombed it at that point. It's not like he's some sort of super fucking genius who randomly picked it. They had already bombed it once.
Guy, I watched him be interviewed one time, and I said, that's a bad guy. You better get him. 1 year before, exactly. I wrote it in a book. You can even check. About a year before the World Trade Center then came down, President Clinton actually had a shot at him, and he didn't take it. Unfortunately, I'm not blaming him for that, but he didn't take it. And he ended up knocking down the World Trade Center, but I predicted that too. I predicted a lot of things. We strongly encourage other nations whose economies depend on the Strait for blood. I mean, these people literally need it. 95% of their energy or their oil comes out of the Strait, and They should be in here very happily helping us. And it's incredible. We have such great, we're number one in oil by double now. We drill, baby, drill. We're double any other nation. And it's going to be soon triple any other nation. And that doesn't include Venezuela, who's been great. By the way, the relationship with Venezuela has been fantastic. Millions, literally millions of barrels of oil are being taken out. And it's been a great help. And it's been to their great benefit. The president has done a really good job. We get along with him really well. But we've taken out millions of barrels of oil and brought to Houston and other places to the refineries. We have refineries set up specifically for that. And it's been a great relationship, and more and more is happening. It's a tremendous oil source, and we're stepping it up very rapidly. The big companies are going in.
By the way, we could have made that deal with Maduro at any time. We could have made the deal with Maduro at any time, where we're just like, all right, we will lift sanctions on your country as long as you agree to have some sort of deal with American oil companies. And like, that was the deal they were offering. They were offering that the entire Biden administration, which is like, listen, we just want to have our sovereignty respected. We will deal with American corporations. We'll give them deals. We want American expertise to help rebuild the oil industry. Like, that was always the Venezuelan position. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here?
And they will actually, numbers in a pretty short period of time, numbers that they've never.
You know what makes Donald Trump look really old right now, chat? Is the fucking bottom teeth, man. His bottom teeth are starting to look real scraggly. Like, he's got black shit caught between them. Like, does he have a motherfucking dentist? Like, what's going on here? He has Asmongold mouth, yeah.
And we're stepping it up very rapidly. The big companies are going in, and they will actually, numbers in a pretty short period of time, numbers that they've never been able to do, we'll be doing. There's a lot of oil under that land. We strongly encourage the other nations to get involved with us and get involved quickly and with great enthusiasm. I have that from a number of them, and I'd like to say their names, but frankly, I don't know if they would want me to or not, because maybe they don't want to be targeted. But I say, wouldn't matter if you're targeted or not, because this is a paper tiger that we're dealing with now. It wasn't a paper tiger 2 weeks ago. It's a paper tiger now. So now we're going to get down to the reason. We'll take a couple of questions in a moment, but we're going to get down to the reason we're here today. Actually, this was set up a long time ago. It's the Trump Kennedy Center. Over the past year, we've made incredible strides to restore the true purpose and prestige of this revered institution. Together, we're going to ensure it remains the finest performing arts facility of its kind anywhere in the world. And I don't know that it ever really reached that stage, but it will over a period of time. We're rebuilding it. It's in very, very bad condition. It's been it's been somewhat of a disaster, to be honest with you. It's been let go to hell. That's what they've done. They did a poor job. They spent money in the wrong places. They built some theaters underneath that nobody uses, little ones, tiny theaters that cost $300 million. And the money was spent incorrectly, wrong. We're dealing with some networks on the possibility of renting those little theaters. Nobody's going to use them. They want the big halls. The halls are going to be incredible. They're in bad shape. But when they're completed, the bones are potentially something that could be unbelievable. So I want to, before we begin...
I think it's important to understand that Donald Trump is legitimately low IQ. Like, I know this is something that can be tough to listen to, tough to take, but he is legitimately a dumb piece of shit. Like, I think he has a kind of cunning, and he has the ability to connect viscerally with other people that are stupid. Like, he may be dumb, but he has a certain type of charisma that tricks other dumb people. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to understand it if you're not stupid. I think this is what makes Donald Trump such an interesting leader, in that it's a filter. Like, if you're not a dumb piece of shit, you look at Donald Trump and you're just immediately disgusted. If you have any kind of class, you look at Donald Trump and you're immediately put off. And when I say class, what I mean is like have any kind of manners, or you have any kind of empathy, or you have any kind of decorum, or you have any kind of like taste. You know, like you look at Donald Trump and you're just like, this guy is a slimy strip club manager. He's a used car salesman. He is like, you could just see that he's flabby and he's greasy and he's dishonest, and he's just a gross piece of shit. He's not McDonald's, guys. McDonald's is a fucking mega corporation machine where everything's dialed in, and a bunch of like flavor scientists are figuring out how to like adjust this mass dialing. He is, as I said, he's that slimy independent used car dealership. He's not something like McDonald's. Okay, Kamala Harris is a McDonald's. All right, he is just Biff Tannen. He's Biff Tannen with the fucking almanac, which ironically Biff Tannen was based on him.
And I want to thank Rick Grinnell. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. He's been unbelievable. He was the ambassador, as you know, to Germany. There was no happier woman in the world than Angela Merkel. Angela. She called me, thank you, sir, thank you. Although she liked Rick a lot, there was nobody happier that he was no longer going to be the ambassador to Germany. He was difficult for them. He was not your typical ambassador. He was the opposite. He would do what was best for the United States, not for Germany. And I want to tell you, he did a great job. So good that I put him in charge of a thing called intelligence. And something he didn't really want to do, but he did it, and he did it incredibly well. There were a lot of leakers. He found out the leakers. And when he didn't find out who the leaker was in a certain area, he fired everybody. And he went into one room where there was leaks coming out. These are long-term problems that these various places have had. And he said, who's the one that leaked this? And they wouldn't admit it, so he fired the whole room. And he did a good job. I'll tell you, he was very good. And during this transition period.
Can I just talk about the way that he thinks about people is as so obviously sociopathic? Like, I want you to imagine dedicating 20 years of your life toward a career, and then because the management can't figure out and is too stupid to figure out who is disloyal, they punish you collectively. Can you imagine if Donald Trump was ever punished for something that he didn't do? How he would react? He's such a solipsist. He's such a fucking dipshit. He's such a worm. Who likes this fucking guy? Every word that comes out of his mouth is fucking dumber than the last. He's such a dumb piece of shit. I think if you like Donald Trump, there is something severely wrong with you, and you need to be like something needs to be done. Unironically, we need to have re-education for Trump supporters. There is something profoundly wrong with anybody that looks at this fucking fat piece of subhuman shit and goes, yeah, based. They need help.
I asked Rick if he would.
I'm sorry for losing my shit, but like, what the fuck is going on here?
Run it because we wanted to see. And if you remember when we first took it over, I didn't do it with enthusiasm. I did it because somebody had to do it. I had to turn it around because it was failing. It would have closed, and physically it would have almost fallen down. It was in very bad shape. The steel columns outside, as an example, were meant to be covered. You know, exposed steel is unusual to have in building. What I do best in life is build. I build buildings really well and under budget and ahead of schedule. That's what I do. Unlike the Fed building, which is going to cost billions of dollars. It may never open. I mean, right now, we have a wonderful a wonderful new head of the Fed coming in. I don't know if he'll ever be able to occupy this complex that was destroyed by Jerome Too Late Powell. I call him too late because he's always too late with interest. Should cut interest rates. He should cut them right now. They should have a special meeting. What's a better time to cut interest rates than now? A third grade student would know that. But that's a terrible thing. But what I do is build. I build great stuff. And what we're going to do is, right outside. In fact,
Donald Trump is literally the dumbest piece of shit I've ever seen. If the economy doesn't have oil because you have cut off the supply of oil, printing a bunch of money is just going to make the oil more expensive. There's going to be more money chasing fewer goods. That causes inflation. I like, how dumb can you fucking be?
If you look behind me, see the nice gold curtain? If you want to look into a nice foundation and you want to see a lot of work, very deep, very, very deep for specific reasons, we have a magnificent ballroom being built. Because this is
Is he building a Fuhrer bunker? Is he building a Fuhrer bunker under the ballroom? Is that what he's doing? we're gonna put all the Epstein files in, and when the forces come to liberate this country, and I'm inside my ballroom bunker, I'm going to.
Hi, I'm Trevor Moore. Did you know that it's illegal to say I want to kill the President of the United States of America? It's illegal. It's a federal offense. It's one of the only sentences that you're not allowed to say. Now, it was okay for me to say it right then because I was just telling you that it's illegal to say I want to kill the President of the United States of America. I'm not actually saying it. I'm just letting you know that it's illegal to say that. It's kind of like a public service. I'm letting you know so that you don't accidentally go out and say something like that. But what's interesting is that it's very illegal to say, I really, really think someone out there should kill the President of the United States of America. That's illegal, extremely illegal, very, very illegal, but not illegal to say with a mortar launcher, because that's its own sentence. It's an incomplete sentence, but.
Okay, thank you, Trevor. I'm sorry, I don't know why that clip opened, but that was a good public service announcement. Thank you, Trevor, for the public service announcement.
The biggest room, and it holds like 98 people for dinner. But behind me, you're going to have a ballroom that this building and the people occupying it, in particular, every president for 150 years, has clamored for a ballroom, a large, beautiful room. This is a cocktail room, and this will actually be, this whole floor will end up being a cocktail room for the cocktail area, or pre-area for the ballroom before dinners. So we'll have heads of state. We can't even do a heads of state dinner. Usually what they do is they would do them on the lawn with a tent. But when it rains, the lawn is very low. And you know the land in Washington. It was built on swampy wetland. And when it rains and you have the King of Saudi Arabia, we have as an example, the King of the UK, I would say King of England, who's a great guy. He's coming in very soon. And when it rains, you know what happened? The rain would go over their feet. It would be about 4 or 5 inches over their shoes. This was not good. And it rained a lot. So we're building, finally, because I do that. And by the way, no taxpayer money. I want to put that, zero. It's going to be, it's on time, on budget. It'll be under budget. Literally, we're having it under budget, other than we've upgraded it in terms of the marbles we're using. We're using onyx and stones that are incredible. But it'll be something really spectacular. I'm looking at Mr. Steve Wynn, who's over there. He built a spectacular building, and he knows Trump builds a spectacular building. I built
Steve Wynn is a casino magnate.
Better buildings than him. I don't care what he said.
Did I speed him up? Yes.
But Steve is over here, and he really, with his incredible wife, Andrea, and thank you both for being here. Andrea's on the board, and Steve is so in love with his wife, he asked whether or not he could come. And I can say the same thing for the great Bob Kraft. He's got a wife that's so wonderful. He said, do you think I could come? She didn't have to accept that, you know. She could have said no. But Bob said, I would like to come. So, Bob, we will not let you vote, although his vote would be a good vote. He will vote for the proper thing. But it's good to have you both here. These are two great couples that know a lot about the things I'm talking about, like fixing, whether it's building a stadium or building a building. They know how to do it. So thank you. Thank you, Steve, very much. But we made incredible strides over the past year. If you remember, I said I want to run it for a year just to see, because the place is falling down. It's horrible. Air conditioning, heating is going to be ripped out in its entirety, and it needs new. It's old. It's, how many years is it, Rick? What's the total? Almost, over 50. And we have 50-year-old air conditioning, more than that actually, and it's in bad shape. Everything's in bad shape. It's got to be redone. So I said, let's run it for a year just to see how it works. It's better than, you can't just go into something and try and figure it out. And we figured it out over the year. And you have to close it, putting new marbles in, beautiful, beautiful marbles. When you do marbles, you can't have people walking over the marble every night as it's drying and setting and going to a play. So we thought the best way, what I know best in the world is construction. The best way to do it is close it, do it properly, and reopen it, have a grand reopening. And when it's finished, it's going to be far better than it was when it was originally built. When it was originally built, it was good. It has one thing that's very good. It has great sound. I think there's a lot of luck in sound. You have some of the big opera houses. I don't want to get involved with saying which one, but in New York, as an example, where the acoustics were never good. And they've ripped it apart 4 times and rebuilt it, and it was never good. The good thing about the Kennedy Center, the acoustics are good. And they'll only be enhanced based on what we're doing. A lot of it has to do with the stones and the stones you use, the marbles you use, et cetera. Over the past year, we've made incredible strides to restore the true purpose and prestige that this building will soon gain.
Can you imagine if his father just let him be gay? Like, I'm sorry, but like, I know people are going to cancel me for this, and it's fine. but this guy loves cats. I have never, ever, and I'm somebody who appreciates theater. Okay? I am a straight man who appreciates theater. I have never met another straight man who was like, I love cats. It has never happened. Also, it does, in fact, suck. It is actually shit. And the way he talks about, you know, and it's not just that he likes cats. I mean, you're allowed to be a straight man who likes cats. I'm sure maybe they exist out there. It's 350 million people, right? Diversity is incredible, okay? Just the way he talks about men and the way it's just crazy, dude. I'm talking about Cats the musical, chat. Sorry, not Cats the pet. We like Cats. I like Cats the pet. I'm talking about Cats the musical. Sorry. This is what Donald Trump likes. He thinks this is art. Okay? This is Donald Trump's favorite musical.
I think at a higher level than it had before. Together, we're going to ensure it remains the finest and will become the finest performing arts facility anywhere in the world. It's got the location, and it will have the building. It's got good bones. It's got good structure.
I thought it was Phantom of the Opera. Stop trying to redeem Trump, okay? Just go with what I'm saying. Spread a little misinformation with me. It's his second favorite. Close enough.
Again, they wanted to originally cover the exposed steel. It was painted a cheap gold, and we turned it into a very expensively painted white, very heavy coat of very powerful white paint meant for steel, exposed steel. A very different kind of paint, but it's almost like putting a stone over the top of it. And the color is white.
Oh, and you guys think I'm kidding? Trump says he wants to stage Cats, other non-woke shows at Kennedy Center. Well, fucking well. You guys thought I was kidding. I wasn't kidding. Donald Trump says he wants to stage Cats and other non-woke shows at the Kennedy Center. President Donald Trump has taken over Washington, D.C.'s Kennedy Center, and after firing the venue's president and appointing himself to the board chair, he's preparing to bring some non-woke shows to the space. In an audio from a board meeting obtained by the Washington Post, Trump said he would like the venue to go slightly more conservative with their programming, noting he wants non-woke musicals to perform there like Cats, Fiddler on the Roof, and Phantom of the Opera. Cats and Phantom of the Opera, both written by Broadway legend Andrew Lloyd Webber, seem to have non-woke themes like diversity, love, non-judgmental views, and social inclusion. There are some problems with Trump's plan. However, Rebecca Ritzel, culture critic at MSNBC, noted that Cats is not currently touring in North America. Additionally, during the board meeting, members noted they would like to produce non-equity shows, meaning they would only produce shows that are not represented by the Actors Equity Labor Union. However, producing a show without labor contracts would lead to various problems. Look at how much of a fucking disgusting piece of shit this guy is. What a fucking scumbag. Not one redeeming characteristic. He wants scab shows of cats. This is the fucking culture of Donald Trump.
Shiny white, and it looks, a lot of people have commented, it looks so much better. Before they had
He's been speaking about interior design of the Kennedy Center and his ballroom more than twice as long as he spoke about the war he's got us in.
The steel painted gold, and the gold was very cheap. There's actually never been a paint that's made that will look like gold. Steve will tell you that. You either gold leaf it or use real gold bullion, or you use a different color, Steve. Nobody's ever been able to make a gold paint that looks real. A little minor thing for the media. I'm sure you're thrilled with hearing that. But there's never been a paint. I said someday I'm going to discover a paint where you don't have to actually use gold leaf. Gold leaf is a very, very big and expensive process, but
you don't say, because it's fucking gold.
It's a beautiful thing, but not when you use paint. So we got rid of the gold columns, which looked always terrible. They look cheap and they look fake, very much like the media, actually. And we took the columns and we painted them white. Before we painted them, Matt, very importantly, we structuralized them. We replaced a bad steel that was very badly rusting. I mean, these are columns that are holding up a building. And we had to replace areas of columns that were actually rusted out because it was in very bad shape. It's not even describable how bad this building was.
Chat, posting at 5:39 a.m., Marjorie Taylor Greene. I wholeheartedly support Megyn Kelly telling the world that Mark Levin has a micro penis. It's the most deserved insult, and I don't care if it's vulgar. And Trump's gigantic defense of Levin only enraged the base more. People are done. MAGA destroyed by micro penis Mark Levin. I'm showing you the entire crown of my head. I hope I'm not balding because it would definitely show. Do I have a bad bald spot anywhere? I'm good, I think. You have white hair. It's called being old, bro. It's happened. It's gonna happen to you too. Also, can you imagine what it does to my body to watch this? Like, I think about all the books I've read, all the classes I've taken, all the work I put in, all the policy papers I've written, all the conversations and interviews I've had, and this is politics today.
Both inside and out. I want to thank Rick Grinnell, but you really did a great job, Rick, on this, and we appreciate it. I'm looking for your next venture, because he really was, there was a story he got fired. He didn't get fired. He was here for a short period of time, for a year, figuring it out with Matt and everybody else, and Matt now is going to take over, and he's a pro at construction, great at construction, and I think Matt would like to run the facility too. He's fallen in love with it, and I think he'd do a good job, but if I don't think he will do a good job, I'll say, Matt, you're fired. I'm getting somebody else. So you're under no pressure, Matt, okay? It's like Bob Kraft. If a football player doesn't perform well, typically you will fire him immediately, Bob. Do you ever let them stay around for 4 or 5 years if they're bad? Not too many times, right? So anyway, I learned from you. So I want to thank also Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's been fantastic. I don't know, is Pam here someplace? Oh, hello, Pam. Good. She's been great. And the Speaker of the House, he's got the easiest job of anybody in government. He's got a majority of 2. I don't like to say 1 because it varies, but between 1, 2, and 3. And I think you're the only man that's ever lived that's able to be very happy about it. In fact, when we get up to 3, every once in a while we get up to 3. Actually, for a period of time, we had it up to 4, and then we had a death. And death is very bad when you're the Speaker and you have a majority of 2 or 3. But we had a death, and then we had another death, and we had some things, and but we're looking very strong. We had one man who was very ill. It looked like he wasn't going to make it. I don't know. I won't mention his name. Should I? Do other people know his name? Huh? Do you want to mention it? He'll be proud. Go ahead. Tell him the story.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. President. Congressman Neil Dunn of Florida had some real health challenges, and it was very serious, and had a pretty grim diagnosis. And I mentioned it to the president, and I said, Congressman Dunn is a real champion and a patriot because he's still coming to work. And if others got this diagnosis, they would be apt to go home and retire. And
what was the diagnosis?
It was, I think it was a terminal diagnosis.
He would be dead by June.
Okay, that wasn't public, but yeah, okay. That's it was grim. That's what I was going to say. I don't think
with a heart problem, by the way. This was a heart problem.
So, the long story short, the president called him to encourage him and thank him, and they had a conversation. And the president mentioned in the course of the conversation, you know how to get my doctors involved, and they did. And within a number of hours, they took him to Walter Reed Emergency Surgery. The man has a new lease on life. He acts like he's 30 years younger, and he walked into the conference meeting, and we thought we'd seen a ghost. And I spoke with him over the weekend, and he's encouraged and thankful, and he thanks the president for his leadership and intervention. And thank you.
He actually called Mike. Mike called me, and he said, "Sir, we're up by 3, but we're going to lose 1 by June." I said, "Who?" Neil Dunn. He's a great congressman, incredible. He called to say that he was terminal, really bad heart. There's nothing they can do. I said, "That's bad." Number 1, it was bad because I liked him. Number 2, it was bad because I needed his vote. But he really said, "Mike, I'm going to last this out for the president and you, and however long I live," it looks like June is the time, but however long I live, I'm going to be voting for you. How many people are going to say that? Most of them are going to say, "Mike, I'm retiring immediately. That's the end."
He's an extraordinary man.
But he didn't do that. It was really impressive. And then I realized I have doctors in the White House. The White House doctors are incredible. And they've helped me with other people. They're helping me with people right now. People that are very sick are like they're miracle workers. And I said, I have to call them. And I called the 2 doctors. They're both great. And they immediately went over to see the congressman. And he was on the operating table like 2 hours later.
Yeah.
And it was a long operation. They gave him more stents and more everything that you could have. I think he's got everything that you could possibly have. And they called up. They said, "Sir, I think he'll be fine." I said, "You got to be kidding." He said, "I think he'll be fine." And Mike was telling me the story that the other day he came into...
Okay, Chad, I'm sorry. This shit is too fucking boring. So we are going to be interviewing Kat Abughazaleh in 30 fucking minutes. And I'm sorry. Him rambling about how much of a fucking loser he is just too fucking boring to me. I'd rather be talking about the Kat Abughazaleh interview we'll be having in 30 minutes. So I said to 30 that I realized time zones, Mike. So I'd rather us, can someone link me this Ryan? What happened with Ryan Grimm in the post that happened with Kat? So I just posted this on Twitter. Make sure you go hype this the fuck up. Ryan reposted this. Yes, I saw this. And by the way, if you're one of those people going like, "Oh, Ryan from AIPAC," Ryan is doing his job. Ryan is doing his job, which is interrogating politicians about their views and bringing them to the attention of everybody. Okay? Damn 9 likes. I just posted it 5 seconds ago. So calm down. Also, the algorithm doesn't like when you talk about links and bio and shit. I should have just not put link. I'm sure it got suppressed because I said link in replies. Because Elon Musk is that kind of guy. He doesn't want you to go off platform. So the algorithm is super annoying. So, all right. So from Kat Abughazaleh's issue page, there is no acceptable scenario that leaves Hamas in charge of the Gaza Strip. Okay, listen. I have said this for a very, very long time. I don't consider Hamas to be allied with me politically. It is a conservative group. It is a conservative group with conservative Islamist politics. That is not an alignment with my politics. However, it is also a indigenous resistance group against the genocide. So it's not my job to go in there and police the resistance that's happening to a genocide. There were all sorts of groups of all different political persuasions that fought the Nazis. Okay? It's not our job sitting outside safe at the Imperial Core to target a specific group and spend our time going, you're not resisting the genocide in the way that I like. That's a waste of time. And I've always disagreed with that. However, I've always supported, if you're on the left, we should not identify with forces of reaction in other societies. There is the PFLP. There are other resistance groups that were involved in the Al-Aqsa flood and the resistance against genocide in Israel. I think it's not intelligent, nuanced political thinking to just ally with Hamas because they're the largest group, right? But I also think it's anti-praxis to speak out against Hamas in the context of them being a resistance group against genocide. Okay, does that make sense? So I think this is bad. I think this is unnecessary, and I think it is chauvinistic. So I think Ryan is right to publish this. Okay, he is right to publish this. But I want you to also understand something. This doesn't represent Kat's views. Kat had a foreign policy advisor who put out a whole bunch of shit that she doesn't agree with. And the reason why I believe her is because when I watch her speak, she says different shit than what's in her issues page on her website. So what are we to believe? She's convincingly lying about her positions whenever she interviews, and she decides to go on my show. She decides to go on Hassan's show. That's a sign, okay? That's a sign that she is allying herself with forces that are on the left side of these issues, and very specifically on this point. And I'm defending her because this is what happened on this very point. Why am I defending her? I thought I had a link. Oof. All right, we're finding it. Kat Abughazaleh appears to have rewritten her foreign policy platform. Her website now says earlier language did not accurately reflect Kat's views or values of this campaign. Now, I got to tell you something, chat. I find this to be an incredibly good sign. I'm not sure I would have been able to do something like this. If I was running for office and I made a big mistake and it was a day before the election, I don't know that I would have had the fortitude to change my website. I might have just been like, don't talk about it and let's try to get to the election, right? The fact that she is reacting to Ryan Grimm posts, she's reacting to my criticism, she's reacting to Hassan's criticism, and coming in our direction, that's exactly what we want. Now, it would be better if she hadn't made a mistake in the first place. It's very easy to never make mistakes, hypothetically. It's very easy to say why'd she make the mistake in the first place? But when someone makes a mistake and they come forward and they apologize and they rectify it, and they move in your direction, you have to ask yourself, what are you yelling at people for? Are you yelling at people for making yourself look smart and good? Or are you yelling at her so that she changes her position? If somebody does what you want, take the win. And this is something that by the way, this is not new. If you've been to my stream for a long time, if you've been a Mike from PA fan for a long time, this is how I've always been. I have been very harsh on people when they're wrong. But when they come in my direction, I always give them credit. I always say, you know what? I respect that. I don't punish people for changing their mind in my direction. On the opposite, I reward them. Now, ultimately, you know, I went way too hard on Kat on the Taiwan shit because I didn't believe she would do something like this. But now that she's shown me her character, I have to change my position on her because I didn't know her that well. I only knew her from the internet, and she has shown me her character is I listen to criticism from the left and I change my mind. That is the most perfect response I've ever seen. I'm not going to hold her to her worst takes that she's no longer holds, because if I did that, I'd have to hold myself to my terrible takes. I don't want you to hold me to the takes that I had that were terrible 10 years ago, 15 years ago. When I ran for office in 2014, I ran as a liberal progressive. I didn't run as a socialist in 2014 because I wasn't a socialist in 2014. So what am I going to do? You're going to find my debate from 2014 and say, Mike, I'm holding you to your debate from 2014. No, you recognize that I had a political evolution. I educated myself. I experienced things and I came around. And I got to tell you, chat, we're going to have a Congress. This is my main problem with AOC. My main problem with AOC is she doesn't do this. Kat Abughazaleh is doing exactly what we want her to do, which is listen to us. She's acting exactly. She's listening to me. She's listening to you. She's listening to Ryan Grimm. She's listening to Hassan, and she's coming in our direction. If that doesn't make you happy, what the fuck are you doing this for? Oh my God, the Warhawk changed what they published to something popular. I can't believe you would fall for this BS. See, the problem is with your mentality, and I understand why you're saying that, and I respect you for saying that, but I want you to understand something. You're delusional. Our position does not have any power. Donald Trump is the president of the United States. Zionists have a majority in both houses of Congress and the Supreme Court. Zionists control our entire state apparatus. You want it to be, maybe it's popular among the people. Maybe you're right. But what's popular among the people isn't what's in power. Kat Abughazaleh is campaigning for power. And yeah, she had a bad take. Yeah, her advisor wrote a dumb thing on her website. What do you want me to do? Whip her? What do you want me to do? You have made a mistake. I destroy you. And zap her with a fucking ray? Like, what are you trying to do here? And that's why we must elect liberal Zionist Daniel Biss or Netanyahu supporter. Fine. What are you saying? I respect you. I love you. But I respect where that person's coming from, which is their mental space is don't buy politicians bullshit. And you're right. She's a politician. You're right. You're right to be skeptical. And my support of her is contingent on her having good policies. But she's got good policies and she did what I wanted her to do. What am I going to do about that? Am I going to be mad? What am I going to do? Go, God damn it. I can't believe you're agreeing with me, Kat Abughazaleh. Unforgivable. Do I still have the Fetterman concern? No, because Fetterman did not do this. That's what you don't understand about John Fetterman. John Fetterman did the opposite. He got criticized by the left and he got polarized more to the right. He doubled down on his terrible takes. He didn't change his terrible takes to good takes. That's the opposite of Fetterman. Fetterman said, this is my terrible take. And if you disagree with me on my terrible take, I'll have terrible takes on more things. Kat Abughazaleh is, I have this take. And Hassan and us, and we came to her and said, this is why it's a terrible take. And she changed her bad take to a good take. And this is one thing that I want to explain to people that maybe they don't understand. And that is the process of a campaign, the process of campaigning, the experience of doing it changes you. And I think the policy of campaigning, and this is something that I want to ask Kat about, is has the policy of campaigning helped radicalize you further? Because that's what did for me. Running in campaigns, what made me go from progressive lib to socialist is working with the Democratic Party and recognizing how corrupt it is, recognizing how flawed it is, recognizing how power actually works. I lost faith in the Democratic Party as an institution through experience. And I think that same thing is happening to Kat. Trump says he'll go to war with Cuba after Iran.
Special. Cuba, he's waiting, but he says, let's get this one finished first. We could do them all at the same time, but bad things happen. If you watch countries over the years, you do them all too fast, bad things happen. We're not going to let anything bad happen to this country.
He's like, learn from Hitler. Don't attack the Soviet Union. Don't attack the Soviet Union before you finish with the Brits. Learn from Hitler, Donald Trump. So that's kind of my general take. And if we go to her issue page, we go to her foreign policy. After our website was updated, a portion of our policy platform were not accurately updated and do not reflect Kat's views or values of this campaign. We vehemently believe in a country where every single person should be able to afford housing, groceries, and healthcare with money left over to save and spend. We also believe in a humane foreign policy that leads not just with diplomacy rooted in the present, but also rights the wrongs of U.S. imperialism. From closure of U.S. military bases abroad to reparations to the global south to the reinstitution and revision of USAID so it could be an organization of public diplomacy and global cooperation rather than imperially focused influence. It is our responsibility to use our immense wealth to make wrongs right, with other countries leading the conversation and not impose American oligarchical greed on the rest of the world. Finally, the United States is not and should not be an exception to international law and cooperation. We must rejoin the Paris Climate Accords, be an active partner in the United Nations rather than a bully, sign on to the Rome Statute so we're beholden to the same laws as almost every other country in the world. Every civilian deserves peace. No child should go to bed hungry. War criminals must be held accountable. And a safer, healthier, more prosperous, democratic world always leads to a safer, healthier, more prosperous, democratic America. We will be updating this page and others, as well as expanding our entire policy platform after the primary election. But if you're interested in learning more about Kat reviews, we encourage you to look into her many interviews, videos, and posts on foreign policy. So basically, she has completely retracted all of the things I was concerned about. So what more do you want me to say? What more do you want me to say? AIPAC seems to be conceding defeat here on Daniel Biss. They spent a huge amount of money to stop him, but are now pretending they only ever wanted to stop Abughazaleh and Bushra, who was never polled above single digit. A source close to AIPAC says the group's main goal in Chicago is stopping what it sees as 6 potential squad members: Robert Peters, Kina Collins, Junaid Ahmed, Yasmin Bankol, Kat Abughazaleh, and Bushra. That's an apparent strategy shift for the New Jersey 11th special election. Oh, I'm so bad at pronouncing names. That's so embarrassing. But you get my point. That's so funny. AIPAC is giving up on the idea of attacking people who don't support Israel 100%. That's a huge strategy shift. We are beating their ass. We are beating their ass bloody. Ilhan endorsed Kat? Wait, really? Do you guys have the link? I can't spell. Ilhan Omar reposted the Justice Democrats post. So I don't know if Kat has reacted to that yet, but that is brand new. Omar in for Abughazaleh, big endorses, and follows the back of Rashida Tlaib. God, it's so late. Why are they doing this to me? Why are they doing this to the left? What are you guys fucking doing? Endorse earlier. What the fuck are you doing? Jesus fucking Christ. I swear to God, the DC progressives have got to get their shit together. They have got to get their shit together. It is so fucking aggravating. Oh, I'm going to wait the day before the election to endorse someone. What the fuck are you doing? God, it's so stupid. Yes, they had qualms like you did. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. But you know what would make Kat Abughazaleh probably sit up and listen? If AOC called her on the phone and said, listen, your takes on Taiwan are bad. You should write this. You should apologize. You should do that. Or, you know what I mean? You think that would probably have more influence? I'll endorse you once you do this, this, and this. That'd probably have more influence than silently sitting back and waiting. Like, what the fuck are we doing? AOC sucks at foreign policy. I have my criticisms of her as well. Warren endorsed Biss. I know I don't like Elizabeth Warren. Kat Abughazaleh has now officially got Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib's endorsement. This is fucking huge. This is absolutely fucking huge. And you know what, chat? She also got my endorsement. I endorsed her 3 days ago. You know, like once, what? I think we could see a pattern here. I think we could see a pattern here. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm such a dipshit. Like, you know the answer. We have no organizational structure yet to incentivize or coerce AOC block to do these kinds of things. I mean, I think that part of the problem is that we don't have enough Congress people that are. That's why Oliver Larkin winning is so important, because I think Oliver is exactly the candidate that I've been looking for. He's basically, if I ran for Congress, it would be I would look like Oliver Larkin. If Hassan ran for Congress, we'd have a policy platform like Oliver Larkin. So we have our guy. He's running. Nah, he's taller. Yeah, he's taller than me, which is fucking bullshit. By the way, you're not allowed to have good politics and be taller than me. which is why Hassan is taller than me, because his politics aren't as good as mine. Like, every inch you're taller than me, your politics has to be downgraded. Oliver should lead the squad and replace AOC. That's not. Mike, you need to get with Abdul too. It's too close to Michigan. Yeah, Michigan is. Here's the thing, chat. Before Kat joins, which I'm sure she'll be doing imminently. I'm so excited that I want to just say something, chat, and it's really important that everybody kind of like understand this. I am a sharp-elbowed guy. I'm a bit of a dick, and it's because I feel like there isn't enough dicks. There isn't enough people that are aggressive on the left. However, I'm not insane. That's the thing that you need to understand about me. I am all about winning. So when I'm aggressive with someone, it's because I think they're hurting our cause. And sometimes I'm wrong about that. And I think that I don't misread politicians often, but Kat has surprised me. And I misread a lot of the signals. I think the thing that bothered me was the district she ran in. And I couldn't figure it out. And I came up with my own conspiratorial brain rot, which is bad. There wasn't enough information and I filled in the blanks. So that was my bad. Any DC consultant who says we should throw trans kids or immigrants under the bus should be purged from the party payroll. We do not sell people out, because a politics that is willing to sell anyone out will eventually sell everyone out. Please ask her about Jeffries. I will. What is the reason she ran here, though? Will you ask? It's generation. She's already answered that question a million times. The answer is it's a generational campaign. She was tired of old ass motherfuckers being in office. That's her answer. Her answer is, I respect Jan, but she's old. So that's the answer. And she's got better policies than Jan. That's why Jan. There's a reason why Jan endorsed Biss and not Kat, because she's more of a Biss person than a Kat person, right? And Daniel Biss, while he's certainly better than the average Democrat, does not come close to Kat. If I'm being completely 100 buck, she'll be one of the most left-wing people in Congress. He won't. He'll be in the top 25, maybe. That's if I'm being optimistic about him. Personally, I think he's bad on Israel, which is a huge red flag. This is much more likely to be a Fetterman than Kat is. If we're being honest, if we're doing our Fetterman risk calculator, he's far more likely to be a Fetterman than she is, because he's got not great positions on Israel. His position on Israel is triangulating bullshit. Did he call her carpetbagger? She is a carpetbagger. Who gives a shit? Mike, no disrespect, but it's quite funny how you switched up on a few days. She's switching up. You can't read what she did exactly what I wanted her to do. What am I going to do? Not give her credit? In the end of her campaign, she ran to the left. What am I going to do? Spit in her fucking face? This is what I want people to do. She's doing what I want her to do. What do you want me to do? Slap her in the face for doing what I want her to do? Or I could be like, hell fucking yeah. She's doing what I want her to do. She just withdrew her whole foreign policy platform from her website and said, no, I don't agree with this shit. This is what I want her to do. What do you fucking want me to say? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to wait for the next 26-year-old Palestinian woman to run in a midterm. Like, what are you saying? I was an asshole to her. Like, I went too far. What do you want me to do? You want me to pretend I'm infallible? You want me to pretend like I never was an asshole in my entire life? Like, what do you want me to do? I think what people are not used to is somebody being human. And being like, you know what? I feel bad about what I did. I don't agree with it. And Kat has made me look like a dick. What do you want me to do? Pretend that she didn't? So I look like, what do you want me to do? Lie? For my own gain? I don't think you want me to do that. I think you want me to go, Mike, reconsider. And then for me to reconsider. The fact that I wouldn't reconsider would be a huge red fucking flag. And with that, Kat Abughazaleh is jumping in. So let me make sure. Kat, I think you're muted and you're not on screen yet. So, but be aware that we're one button click away. So give me a thumbs up when you're good to go. Okay.
Can you see me?
Okay, you're unmuted now. I can see you, but they can hear you. So let me go ahead and throw you up. And I just want to say, before we get started,
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Oh, sorry. I should say there's very, very few people who have ever made me feel like I was wrong about them more than you.
Well, that's the goal. I wanted to make you feel bad too.
No, it wasn't. I'm not trying to be an egomaniac here. I'm just saying that I appreciate that because, a moment of self-reflection is very important. As a streamer, you know what it's like. You sometimes
You're
You
in
look
it.
like an asshole. You're in it. You're talking. You get high on your own supply. What the hell is going on with my? Give me one more second.
It's APAC.
It is APAC. Okay, we have that capture method. The hell is what's going on? There we go. Okay, Jesus Christ, we did it. We did it. We did it.
We're here,
Okay.
y'all.
We're here. Okay. Let me just pull this up. Sorry for how disorganized I am. I'm the worst interviewer in history. Don't worry.
You're all good. I have my best friend staying with me, so my place looks like a dorm room right now.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Illinois' future congresswoman. We're 24 hours away. Kat Abughazaleh is here with us. And as you know, this is probably one of the most important elections in the history of this country. I'm putting a lot of pressure on you now.
The history of the country. God damn.
I agree. I know. Unironically, I agree with that now. I've been thinking a lot about your race because you're not just running against AIPAC. You're running against sort of like the professional progressive class of DC. So if you're able to win a 100% grassroots left-wing campaign as a 26-year-old woman, Palestinian, that will rank up there with like very few other campaigns in the history of this country. And I mean that completely. I've thought a lot about you over the last weekend and this race because I wanted to make sure that I don't like when I make mistakes and I don't like when I treat people unfairly. And I definitely did that to you. And you've only rewarded my newfound faith in you by making the correct moves. I just want to say that, in my opinion.
Thanks. And to be clear, like, I think accountability is important, and I'm always down to like talk about different views and absolute like the thing is I'm like I always mention I used to be a union rep and I'm like I'm compromise and negotiation and admitting when I'm wrong or if I've changed position, if there's new news, I'm always happy to do that as long as we're not compromising basic human rights. And so like I just also want to make it clear that like there were also some folks that I think got mad at the idea, even if there was just genuinely a disagreement of like, these are two different views, whatever it may be. I think that's important. And I think one of the issues with the Democratic Party is the complete unwillingness to engage, not in disagreements with fascists, but with any criticism, no matter how founded or no matter if it's good faith, bad faith, whatever it may be. It's the same reason that, Kamala Harris was basically saying, I told you so.
Right.
Rather than acknowledging, like, if I don't win, it is not because someone didn't drop out. It is not because of anything except I didn't get enough votes. And that sucks, but we need to own up to that and recognize that accountability and people being involved in the political process is good. It's a good thing.
Now, I'm giving you a lot of credit. This morning, I think there was a report from Ryan Grimm, right, about some positions that were on your Palestine page that might have seemed inconsistent with what you've expressed publicly, and what I've heard from you is a desire to support self-determination, which is a laudable
so
goal.
Basically here is like, as many of y'all know, we had an advisor who is no longer with the campaign that misrepresented some of my views. I also want to be clear, because I know that this specific point is affecting him in his personal life. I've seen people try to describe him as some like pro-Netanyahu, pro-Israel maniac. And this is someone like many of our Jewish allies that has lost family, friends, community for standing up for Palestinian rights. No matter what anything else, I just really want to make that clear. But he no longer works on the campaign, and we haven't updated our website because we're in Get Out the Vote. We haven't. I'm dealing with the federal indictment. Right. It's been busy. So we actually also put a short statement on our foreign policy page just to let people know that things are going to be updated. And we're actually going to be expanding the policy platform in general.
I think okay, I'm glad to hear that, but not to, obviously I wouldn't be me if I didn't ask. Obviously the Palestinian-Israeli issue is incredibly complicated, and it's very easy for us as Americans who are privileged and comfortable to kind of pass judgment on the politics of Palestinian resistance. And do you think that Americans should be like involved in selecting the choices of who gets to rule a Palestinian government after this genocide, if God willing ends?
No, but I mean, I think the big thing here is that there need to be elections. Like, this is something that has been criticized about the Hamas government in Gaza. There haven't really been elections in, almost 20 years at this point. And that self-determination aspect is very important to me. But any solution, which I've said shouldn't be dictated by Americans, but by people that actually live there, also need to include full civil and legal rights for all people, like no apartheid state, which while that's controversial,
Do you consider
as
yourself,
well
not
as
to interrupt,
democracy.
Kat, but do you consider
Yeah.
yourself a one-stater or a two-stater, or up to the individual people that are actually there? Like, what do you
Up to the individual people that are actively there. Like, I'm Palestinian American, but I don't live there. And, whether it is a one secular state with full civil and legal rights for everyone, whether it is two states that are, democratic. Once again, I am very pro secular states. That needs to be up to them. I'm not sure geopolitically right now that just popular sentiment of the people that live there, a one state in that image is possible, but also it is not up to Americans to decide, and why we need to recognize Palestinian statehood so that way you are negotiating on equal footing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is incredibly difficult now because, the elephant in the room is that Israeli politics has gone very far right.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about a one-state solution, it almost seems non-viable because of the nature of Israeli politics. So doesn't that mean that our support for Israel needs to be cut off faster and more, more expeditiously because they're so out of line with our values?
I mean, it wouldn't matter if it's Israel or Mexico. We need to be following our own laws. That's why we can't just be, having an arms embargo for just specific types of military aid. It needs to be a full stop until our laws are followed. And that includes not having segregation codified in your law. Like, this isn't, some people want to make this really complicated. I remember I was at a candidate forum where there are, 16 candidates in my race, and I was the last one for this question. And every single person was like, this is really complicated. I can't get into the thousands of year history here. And I'm like, it really isn't that complicated.
Right.
Civilians deserve safety. Children shouldn't go to bed hungry. War criminals need to be held accountable. And we need to recognize Palestinian statehood while also not dictating the lives of people that actually live there. I also don't believe in doing a second Nakba. Like, if someone said we need right of return, there are lots of forms that takes. But if someone said you can have your great grandfather's hotel, but you displace 300 people, trauma begets trauma, I would say no. But there are many different forms that takes, and there need to be reparations.
Yeah, I hear you. But you would say that you support a right of return.
Yeah, it's
okay, of Palestinian refugees.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for informing us about that. The other issue that I want to quickly go over is just kind of your general attitude towards China, and that's a big concern for me because I see obviously China is a rising power, and they've been incredibly successful in development compared to almost any other country in the world. We are very intimately intertwined with them economically. So what do you think our attitude toward China be? Should it be adversary? Should it be cooperation, looking for more cooperation and more friendliness? Should it be aggressive? Should we try to contain China? What is our perspective that you have toward China?
I am very much a believer in international cooperation. Like, these are two superpowers, and ideally China and the United States can look at each other as trade and innovation partners. I mean, a safer, healthier, more prosperous world is a safer, healthier, more prosperous America, and same from China's perspective for their own country. That's how I look at the grand scheme of the globe. Of course, we need to be recognize the impacts that American policy has had in the global South as a whole, as well as the just general. If you're a superpower, I'm just going to say, I think that there is an instinct, especially because of everything our country's done in the American left, to almost exempt other countries from scrutiny.
Right.
I don't think that should be the case for America, for China, for Russia, for any other country. So being realistic about military threats, but also not coming from a point of militarization. Public diplomacy is my top priority. Restoring and also transforming USAID so that way it's not a tool of regime change and imperialism, but instead we'll need to go on like a decades-long apology tour trying to regain any of the goodwill that we've lost over the last century, but especially, this administration, to say not this is what you get, but what do you need? And the same goes for China. And so I want to come from a perspective of cooperation. I think that there are so many, particularly Republicans, like watching Fox News for a living, that just is something I've seen a lot, that just want to use China as a boogeyman to enrich themselves with the military industrial complex, just like Lindsey Graham is doing with Iran right now. That is abhorrent. It's also something that isn't just specific to Republicans. But I think being grounded in reality of just where situations are at and trying to work towards that cooperation is where I come from. And I'd also recommend to anyone that really wants to dive into like Taiwan and all that stuff. I've done interviews with Breaking Points, Majority Report, Zateo, and my own video about it.
Yeah, I have to tell you that I am generally somebody who is probably one of the most pro-China cooperation people because of crises like climate change.
Yes, exactly.
And one of the, you can say a lot about China, but they are actually taking their pledges seriously. And they are
eating our lunch when it comes to solar energy. And that generates more and wind
and hydro
and we've seen
fusion.
It's like when I talk about when people say like a Green New Deal, or when they say Medicare for all, they're often used as catch-alls. Like there is the Medicare for all proposal, but I think a lot of especially like liberal legislators want to just say it as like, yeah, healthcare is good, but like kind of operate within the status quo. When it comes to a Green New Deal, I want to take it from the perspective of like a New Deal, and it means that you need to be integrating climate action into every part of a whole government approach that just pours money into every facet
so you think
of our
foreign policy
government
should be part of that whole government approach?
Absolutely. And I
the
think
cooperation with China on that basis is very important.
Specifically, I think one of the most important things that we can do in terms of foreign policy and how we're using our money is reparations to right our wrongs to the global south in specifically infrastructure and renewable energy. Just like I said, a safer, healthier, more prosperous world equals that for America. Same for a world that's not on fire. Like if the world is on fire, we are not exempt from that, and we contribute a lot to it. And I think, we need to not just sign on to the Rome Statute, get back on the Paris Climate Accords, but also not take the dictator role, but rather use our resources to enable leadership globally for cooperation on climate change, similarly to how we did for the ozone crisis.
What do you think about what Donald Trump has done to Venezuela and Cuba? Do you think that we should, what should our position be toward the, sorry for giving you the tough questions, but I think this
isn't a tough question. I'm just
disgusted with how much of a fascist he is. Yeah.
And we have 3 more years of this. Like, I feel insane sometimes where, thank God I'm not watching Fox News every night for a living, because like hearing people be like, well, yeah, like this might have been not under international law, but Maduro's a bad guy. You don't have to like Maduro to realize that invading a country and killing a shit ton of civilians and then kidnapping its leader is a crime. And you shouldn't do that. And you should have consequences for doing that. It is an impeachable offense.
Do you think that America should be subject to the International Criminal Court?
Yes, we need to sign on to the Rome Statute.
Right. Yeah. And I read that this morning. And so you would, in your mind, George Bush or Donald Trump being prosecuted at The Hague is a outcome that you would support?
Yes.
That's something that you would? Okay. Really cool. Good.
I said on MSNBC that Kristi Noem should be tried at The Hague.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely mean.
And same thing with Netanyahu, Ben Gvir.
Absolutely. Look, I think every war criminal should be held accountable, and it doesn't matter what flag they're under. Whether it's ours, whether it's Israel's, and frankly, whether it's Hamas's. Like, if you commit a war crime, that is bad. But this is why we're supposed to have international law. And the fact that we, the United States, are supposed to be some exception, and then certain states that we pick and choose get to be exceptions, is ridiculous. I was on the debate stage we had a televised debate a couple weeks back, and I remember that the host asked, do you think Netanyahu's a war criminal? And out of my 2 other opponents, I was the only one that raised my hand. One of them didn't say anything, and the other was like, well, I like to think about international law, and I'd say under those standards, probably, yes, he is. He has a warrant out by the ICC. What are we talking about? He's a war criminal. We don't have to debate this.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's really interesting, and I'm glad that you say that, because that's kind of how I think about foreign policy, is that to ensure a safe world, the United States has to be subject to the same laws, right?
Exactly.
And the Western countries and our allies. And so are you concerned about, some say like Egypt or Pakistan, who had democracies, but they were overthrown in favor of military dictatorships that are pro-American? Do you think that the United States should overturn that support and try to restore democracies, even if they elect people that are maybe not as pro-American?
Well, it worked so well the first time we did it in all these places.
Like Iran is another example.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I don't see how us trying to overthrow another regime, no matter the intention, for like Iran has a horrific regime that's going to get even more stringent, even more authoritarian after the assassination of the Ayatollah. But this intervention doesn't help. And also, this administration doesn't give a damn about democracy. Like, it was honestly laughable saying they care about protesters. And I was like, okay, buddy. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing is when we are invading on behalf of ourselves, we make we've made the world so much worse. And that's why we really need to, in terms of righting wrongs we have made, it has to come from the perspective of aid, not for the idea of reliance by those countries receiving it, but in an effort to build infrastructure to be able to lift up these countries that we have harmed.
I think we've been talking around it, but I think this is like, not to go to our one major point of disagreement, but I'm curious about how you square that circle with supporting some of the institutions of America, like the NED, that have been used for, helping overthrow Chile, helping to install, fascist dictatorships in Brazil and Argentina and the Iran-Contra affair. And, you go around the world, and a lot of these instruments of American power have been used to implement anti-democratic outcomes against the will of the people. And don't you feel like I think a sticking point for me, and I would love to hear your thoughts, is that these institutions have such a bad track record. Why do you have faith that they could so easily be used for good instead of requiring, like, basically starting from scratch with something new?
I don't believe NED is in our platform anymore, but I do think that this is an argument that you hear about USAID a lot.
Yes, USAID. Yeah. Thank you for correcting me.
Specifically, USAID has done, while it has been used in ways to affect regime change and to create an idea of codependence and reliance, it also has drastically lowered HIV/AIDS rates around the world.
George Bush's best policy.
Absolutely. It has, since its dissolution by Elon Musk, 600,000 people, the vast majority of them children, have died.
Disgusting.
And cutting it off, it's similarly to how our campaign office, we use it for, it's a mutual aid hub. And I think it's something that we should be expecting from our leaders, but it's also a stopgap. It's not something we should need. USAID can do a lot of good, but we need to actually elect not just a majority, but make sure that a majority of that majority feels the same way. An example that I often give is I focused my studies on atrocity, genocide, and extremism. And in my public diplomacy course, one of my professors was a PAO, public affairs officer. And I can't remember which Middle Eastern country it was, but he
probably for Syria or Iraq.
It was like Syria, Lebanon, or Jordan, I think.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
But it was this was right around like ISIS's peak in the early mid 2010s in terms of like a lot of, attention and a lot of recruitment internationally. And so they worked with Jordanian filmmakers with American money on the ground to create a TV series about the realities of being an ISIS wife, a woman recruited by ISIS, which is, it's not great. It's not a great time. And the women that do get to leave often pretty much exclusively say that. And ISIS recruitment of women went down by like 75% the next year. It aired during Ramadan. And that's a great use of US resources. And almost the entire project was created, dictated, and published by the actual people that live there. That's a use of resources that I'm like, see, that's something that we have immense wealth and we have immense power. what if instead, like after we win on Tuesday, we are going to use our resources to get progressives elected nationwide and keep doing that after 2026? If we can actually and have hope that we can actually elect people like that, maybe we can get to a point where those institutions can be changed. USAID specifically, though, does a lot of good. And I think that it has a lot of potential to not just be brought back, but also reformed so that way it's operating essentially to bring about its own demise, to build up that infrastructure so it's not necessary to need this aid, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying. My only concern.
And I know I sound very idealistic and like solar pump over here, but
a little bit. But and the reason why I say that is like ISIS itself is something that was born out of the Gulf states. They were the ones giving them money, and the Gulf states are American allies. So in a certain sense, ISIS was creation of, one degree of separation from the United States intelligence services in order to attack Syria, which had a leader that we didn't like, who was a dictator, obviously.
Many such cases for many terrorist groups.
Right. So, you're talking about like, well, on the one hand, the CIA was doing this to help stop women from joining ISIS, which is good.
The CIA wasn't doing that, by the way. It was our State Department partnered with aid organizations.
Fair enough. So it was a State Department official, not a CIA official. Okay.
It was specifically public affairs, which does a lot of
linked
cultural exchanges.
Yeah. No, I get you. I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But
I wouldn't trust the CIA as far as
okay, beautiful. I think the thing that and thank you for correcting me. I think the main thing that that's the thing that I'm concerned about is like the United States is allied with the Gulf states, these theocratic or these monarchies, and they are anti-democratic and they are oppressive. And ISIS is an outgrowth of American support, really. It is that.
Yes.
It's a one degree of
separation.
separation.
So we should also have an arms embargo for the Gulf states. We should also hold.
Okay, now you're talking.
Yeah, like.
Now you're talking. Okay,
I want consistency across the board here. Like just when we talk about like the genocide in Sudan, like that is also
that's the UAE.
We are also funding that. Like
that's exactly right.
Yeah. It's not just Israel. It is not just Sudan. It is all of these things that like we need that consistency. We can't just focus on that one issue, but also I do think that specifically Palestine resonates with a lot of Americans because it's just so front and center and because so much money goes to this publicly and because there is such an impact on our elections. I mean, we have $1.2 million that's been dropped on our campaign in the last 7 days.
It's fucking insane.
It's fucking crazy, man.
Insane. You used to run a whole campaign, primary and general, on $1 million or $1.5 million, literally.
Yep.
And now, like, because I've been around for a little bit longer than you in politics, because I'm old. But when I was running in 2013, 2014, if you put together $100,000, people thought that was a lot of money, like early on in the campaign. Yeah. Now it's like if you don't have $1 million, you're a joke.
Right. And the craziest part is we have outraised our entire field in terms of our own donations, not outside spending.
The non-corrupt money. The normal money.
We're the only campaign out of 16 candidates that gets the majority of our funding from small dollar donations. And some people have accused us of having dark money because it's unitemized donors, because it's people donating like $5 here.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's so sick.
Yeah, no, that is very sick. And that's why I say I really admire your campaign. And I've been humbled because, listen, whenever I criticized you, I want you to know I was just trying to give you what I thought would help you, because I've been in your shoes where it's like I was a liberal progressive and then I got contact with the Democratic Party. And that's why I became radicalized. The Democratic Party is what radicalized me. And I feel like some of the same thing is happening to you a little bit, because maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I'm sorry. But I just feel that kind of like energy from you. And I want to be an asset for you now that you have completely shown me that I was wrong about you. And I appreciate the way you've clarified these, because it's really important.
I do want nuclear war everywhere, though, and I can't wait for that to be in APAC.
Listen, I don't want you to think I support China invading Taiwan. I think that would be a catastrophic mistake for them. And I'm not saying that I want that. Now, Posadism is growing, which is the idea that to defeat capitalism, we need a nuclear war. But we're not Posadas.
Solar punk, read Becky Chambers.
Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So I want to talk about the things that we agree on for real quick, which is what is your vision for America? And then once I hear that, how can we help?
I mean, the main thing is I hate the idea that things have to be one way because it's always been that way. And we've been challenging that in our campaign over and over again, from using our resources to feed and clothe thousands of people in our district, to organizing on Discord, to live streaming instead of call time, to just like talking like a human being, that we were literally laughed at by consultants and people in the establishment. And
Genius.
I was just like, let's do it anyways. And it's been working, and now they're panicking, and we're hoping that if we can win tomorrow, that we are able to show that this is a blueprint, that this is what people want. And so my vision for America is it doesn't have to be this way. We deserve good things and we don't have to settle. We need to be pouring money into education, into building housing with federal incentives to work with local businesses. We need to have a single payer healthcare system with full dental, mental, vision, and hearing coverage. We need to have firm climate action in every single part of our world. We can't talk about affordability without talking about the fact that renewables cost less than fossil fuels, or education without removing the lead pipes in Chicago schools. I feel very strongly not just about universal pre-K, but also universal basic income, starting with stay-at-home parents, the most invisible and unpaid labor on the planet, right, which would allow families to have more money in their pockets, ensure that people aren't trapped in a relationship because they're reliant on their partner's income, and also make sure that stay-at-home parents have their own social security pot. And the best part is we can afford all of these things. We don't have to keep putting more and more and more money into our military. We don't have to keep giving billionaires tax breaks. We can tax billionaires out of existence. And before someone in chat, I don't see you, but before someone in chat asks how much is the max someone should have, I don't know, but I do know it's not $1 billion. And when we get past there, we can get smaller. But right now we have an epidemic of billionaires who are sucking our blood and our tax dollars, so that way they can make the world worse and themselves a little richer. I don't want that. I want a world where you can just depend on the government to do its job, because it's not a business, it's a fucking government, and where you and your loved ones can have a safe, happy life, where you don't have to think about fucking fascists making the next secret police force, whatever form that may take. Also abolishing and prosecuting ICE. I'm going to spend every single day of my life, whether or not I win on Tuesday, making sure that happens. I'm sick of this. I am Gen Z. Millennials were kind of told, like, you do everything right, you go to college, you get a house, you get a family, and it'll all work out. And they were lied to. And then Gen Z, they were just like, we're not even going to lie to you. You're fucked. And so we don't have a status quo that we yearn for. I want to have a status quo that I can yearn for.
And now they're firing everybody who learned to code with AI.
Exactly. And so but both millennials and Gen Z, where's the status quo that's ever benefited us? We don't have one. So while we don't have to burn anything down. Trump's already doing it. And so while it's horrible to see, it's so scary, so many people are dying, at least we can build something and grow something so much better than what was there before.
Well, with that, I totally agree with you, and I'm glad to hear it. And if I had one ask I could make of you, because I'm gonna make an ask for my community now. Sure. I mean, I don't know if you have a lot of spending you're planning on still doing, but I think the number one thing people could do is get involved with the GOTV. And the last 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, are absolutely huge, because that's how you win.
With if you're gonna donate time. Our district goes from uptown Chicago up to Evanston, west to Skokie, and then all the way to Algonquin and Crystal Lake. If you know someone here, if you live here, make sure that they vote. Tomorrow, the weather is going to be gnarly, so vote today. But we need your help phone banking if you don't live here. Even if you do and you're like, I don't want to go outside, cool, help us phone bank. catforillinois.com/events. That's KATFOR Illinois.com/events. We have had so many volunteers that started volunteering for us because they were reached by phone bank. Same for voters. It does work. We need your help. AIPAC is dropping so much money on our heads. There's a whole dark money influencer operation that's fucking wild. Oh my God. Every new thing I learn about it is crazier than the last. They are terrified.
Yeah, it's fucking insane.
You are not even going to believe the stuff that's going to come out about this. But it's we deserve better. We don't have to settle. And I want to show that running a campaign like this, that these politics of authenticity and genuine communication and melding the new media that so many of us rely on, and the in person that so many of us don't have anymore but really want, and the community that we have built with this, that is the way forward. Not more corporate donors, not AIPAC, and not lying about what you believe.
And you know, no matter, you know, obviously good luck. I have a lot of faith in you. I feel that the momentum is in your direction, and I think that you have run a campaign, you know, soberly, now that we've talked, which we should have done more. I want to, you know, I want to continue supporting you no matter what happens. And if you win, I hope that I can persuade you to join DSA and help teach them.
I'm already a DSA member.
Well, no, I mean like as a leader.
Oh, as a
leader.
Congress member. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that is what we need more than anything, is we need somebody like you who can mentor other grassroots candidates and help maybe share some of your credibility that you will definitely have. You already have it with me, you know, and so I want to make sure that we get as many people that agree with you in Congress as possible. And I think you've done everything in such an innovative way, and it's really amazing to see and very brave. So I'm glazing you because you deserve it, and that's just reality. So thank you for coming on. I really appreciate that. If you have any more time, you know, we can talk more. But I understand that it's GOTV. You probably need to get going. So any last calls to action for the people?
catforillinois.com/events. We want to use this momentum to help elect progressives
You're
nationwide.
not supporting Jeffries for leader. I just wanted to get that out, right?
No.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, no.
All right, go ahead,
anyone
go
I
ahead.
vote for speaker, I'll be very public about this. Like, if I vote for you for speaker, you would promise to support the Block the Bombs Act to ban stock trading for members of Congress, and also forcing them to sell their individual stocks, and pursuing the abolition and prosecution of ICE. If Hakeem Jeffries changes everything about himself, he could try really, really hard to convince me. But yeah, no, at this moment, absolutely not.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And
thanks, guys.
Come on again soon. And,
Absolutely.
And
hopefully I'll come on as a nominee.
Hopefully. All right. I'll see you soon, Kat. Have a good one.
Thanks
for coming
guys.
on. Bye-bye. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Kat Abughazaleh. Had a nice 30-minute interview. Beautiful. Honestly, what can you say? I didn't go easy on her. I did not go easy on her. Like, I asked her the tough questions. I confronted her. But I also, when she gave me the right answer, I give her credit. You know, like, that's something that you need to be able to do. You need to be able to look at someone, and when they tell you the right answer, give them credit. I front-loaded the fuck out of that because I'm not. The reason why is because I wanted to talk about issues. That's what I care about. And so she hit a solid, she got the bat on the ball on every question. You know how hard that is? And also, you have to understand something, chat. We're in the real shit now. I have completely reconsidered her because she has done this. Because she withdrew every bad take and allowed our criticism to be heard. That's all I want. And when I saw that, I completely have changed my mind. I have 100% changed my mind. Hassan was right that she is somebody that we could persuade. I doubted that, and I was wrong. Period. He has shown me that I am wrong, that she is a movement leader. That means that the movement changes her, and she changes with the movement. So what more do you want? I mean, at this point, if you're trying to find reasons to not like her, it's not about policy. She said recently that her hero was a CIA agent. She corrected it and said it was through the State Department only. Now, the State Department and the CIA have worked, they are basically interchangeable. But I asked her a follow-up question, and she gave a based answer. You have to actually, here's the problem. I think a lot of leftists, they are not sophisticated enough on these issues. And I don't mean that you're a dumb leftist, you don't understand how the world works. I asked her a more difficult question, and she gave me the best possible answer. She said, arms embargo the Gulf states. Do you understand how base that is? Do you get that? That's why I am completely changing my mind, because she said the correct answer. I asked her tough questions. She agreed with my take. She said, she talked about an ISIS thing where USAID helped support a program that created a movie that hurt ISIS recruitment for women, right? And she said that's a good project. She's doing the thing where you get very specific in order to make your point. And then I asked her, well, ISIS is an outgrowth of American foreign policy. It was supported by the Gulf states. And her response is, yeah, arms embargo the Gulf states. They're doing genocide in Sudan. They're behind ISIS. We shouldn't be giving them weapons either. That is what I wanted her to say. I didn't tell her to say that. She said that on her own. That is a left-wing position. That is a solidly anti-imperialist position. At a certain point, you have to take yes for an answer. I am not a curmudgeon. I am not somebody if you think that that's me, you don't know me. I am somebody who wants the right answer, but when you give me the right answer, I'm with you 100,000%. I am an ideologue, not an asshole. Meaning I care about my ideas, and if you are with me on my ideas, then I'm with you. Now, obviously, I want you to be nice to me as a person, and if you're nicer to me as a person, then I'm going to support you stronger. You know how hard it is for Kat to do what she just did? Like, I'm sorry, chat. I don't think you guys understand politics if you don't respect the ever-loving shit out of what she just did. Like, I don't think you understand the chutzpah, the cojones, the gonads that it took to come on my stream and answer the questions about radical left-wing foreign policy. I don't think you understand that Congress people don't do that. AOC doesn't do that. Bernie Sanders doesn't do that. She killed it. Like, and I didn't baby her. I started off by saying I apologize because I respect what she has done. It takes a lot of guts to be like, you know what? My foreign policy page sucks. Pull it. I'm going to go on Mike's stream. What more do you want? Now, if she comes and stabs me in the back later, okay. Then the people that just want to say, I just don't like her. You're not making points about arguments anymore. You're not making arguments about policy anymore. You know? We had a lot of my criticism of her was me trying to divine what she believes by looking at partial information. She has given us the complete information. The reason why Mike is right is a meme is because I'm like this. Because when I figure out I've made a mistake, I fucking correct it as hard as I can. I don't sit with my mistake and try to fucking rationalize it forever. I say, I made a mistake. I was harmful. I am flipping to the opposite to rectify mistake. If that's not what you want in a person, then you don't know what a good person is. That's what a good person does. That's what I try to be. And if you don't respect me, fine. You know what? If you say Mike is trying to be the good person, I don't respect that. Fine, fuck you. I don't. What more do you want me to say? I am somebody who is trying to make your life better. I am trying to save this fucking world any way I can. I'm not a fucking hero. I'm just one of a member of a movement, and I'm using the power that I have on my stream to try to do the good thing, do the right thing. That means be harshly critical when I think someone is damaging, but when I'm wrong with about a person, I will correct it. I don't expect her to love me. I expect her to kind of be pissed at me for a while because I was wrong about her, and it's gonna be on me to correct that. You know, like, and if you don't agree with me, if you're like, well, I still think there's something to be mad about. What are you mad about? What actually are you mad about? I asked her every single point that I was pissed about. She referenced her interviews when she defends her pro-Taiwan position. She's changing her mind, man. And I'm going to let her change her mind. The thing about being a politician is you have to give them the ability to change their mind without taking a fucking pie to the face 2 days to the election. Like, what do you want me to do? What the fuck do you want me to do? I want, you know, like, does she need to whip herself? Like, she did everything that I wanted her to do. At a certain point, you're just trying to, you know, make her do a humiliation ritual. Mike, do you think she has a naive view on her pro-democracy principled stance? I think listen, I support democracy. I'm a socialist. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think democracy is good. I think that people have wisdom. You know, it is what it is. That being said, I don't think the United States of America is the vessel by which we're going to democratize the world. That's where, you know, that's my disagreement. And she basically told me in her vision, it's not like it's a radical vision. It's a vision that is not in line with the status quo in any way. Okay. Now, I don't want China to invade Taiwan militarily. I think that would be fucking horrible. I just so happen to believe that if you want to avoid Taiwan being invaded militarily, then the thing that you should do is cooperate with China and do a long-term reconciliation program where we respect China's national security interests while also respecting the self-determination rights of the Taiwanese people, which is a territory of China, not a state, not an independent country. Reunification through diplomacy, through self-determination is the ideal goal. I don't want war. She said she's pro cooperation with China. I mean, what more do I fucking want? Do I want her to say Xi Jinping for president? Like, what are we doing here? You know? And if you're wondering how I like people, If you want to know, Mike, how do you know who the good politicians are? I know who the good politicians are because I look at what they vote for. And I have a spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet is maintained up to date. And I look at it and I look at your score and I say, how left-wing are you based on the score? Now, the score isn't perfect, right? But it's pretty damn close. And Kat Abughazaleh, I heard, is right here. She's right here. She's smack dab here. She might even be number 1. She might be number 2. She might be number 3. This is top 5 shit. So what more do I fucking want? You know, let's be honest. She says she would co-sponsor the 5 major left-wing bills. If somebody is a co-sponsor of these 5 bills, they're in the top 20 in Congress. Right off the bat. Mike, Kat Abughazaleh is in the top 5 best, but have you considered Gretchen Whitmer or Ro Khanna? I mean, Ro Khanna is 18th. And I have a lot of disagreements with him. And why is he 18th? Because he's a crypto slut. He loves cryptocurrency. He votes with the crypto bros on every crypto bill. He's perfect, except he loves crypto. I mean, he's not quite perfect, but he's pretty close. But his crypto voting record is fucking trash. Also, he occasionally votes for like weird defense bills and shit. He's a fucking weirdo. Like sanctioning Chinese opioid manufacturers. Fucking weird. This is how you know who's really based. If you want to know somebody who I think is super fucking based, is they vote no on sanctioning Chinese opioid manufacturers. Now that's a based vote right there. That's a certified Mike from PA classic. Okay? Where's Larkin on the street? This is only people that are actually in power. Only people that are actually in power are on this sheet. Here, I'll give you my sheet. And we only track Democrats and independents that caucus with Democrats because Republicans are all pieces of shit and they're fucking pointless. You want to see a list of 0%? Here is the left-wing spreadsheet. As you can see, AOC has a 97. And you can go and check every single vote. And it's a lot. There's a lot tracked, okay? Like, this is, like, they're correct. She's correct a lot, okay? When I say AOC is good, you have to understand that AOC is very good, all right? She wasn't elected, so this goes back to 2018 and whatnot. When I say that AOC is good on shit, it's not a joke. Blockchain technology does have a use case, but I don't think it's for crypto. And crypto has proven not to be valuable for anything it claimed. I am anti-crypto because it's a speculative asset for the rich. And it doesn't have any utility in society. Not as far as I can see. Maybe the technology has fringe uses, but we're talking about like 0.01% of the world economy, not trillions of dollars. So this tracker is about what they do when they vote in Congress and what bills do they write. So when I say AOC is fucking good, it's not me coping because I like her social media. In fact, I think her social media sucks compared to how good she is. I think that the problem with AOC is that she doesn't communicate how good she is well enough. That's my problem with AOC. Honestly, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib communicate way better of how good they are. And obviously Summer, who is the perfect rep, and I love her. If you want someone that I adore, it's Summer Lee, the literal perfect person. And she's from Pennsylvania, which, I mean, can I tell you that she's like, I mean, how perfect could a person be? Also from Pennsylvania? I mean, like, come on. Michael from Pennsylvania, thank you for changing your mind on this. What? Kat showed me the type of person she is, and I was completely wrong about her. And you know, it's very humbling to be wrong, but sometimes you just got to admit you're wrong, man. It honestly feels great. It feels great when you admit you're wrong. When you're legitimately wrong and you have the opportunity to fix it, it feels fucking great because you could be like, wow, that's great. I feel great for admitting I was wrong and doing something to fix it. You should try it sometime. Yes. Oh, yeah. By the way, Illinois' 8th district. Obviously, I want Kat to win. The thing is, like, obviously, this district is the most important. This is also a very important district. The thing about Kat is she's also running against Elizabeth Warren, who I do not like because she backstabbed Bernie and basically gave us Biden. And so Kat winning would also be a fuck you to Elizabeth Warren, which is fucking awesome. So it's like a double win. Mark Ruffalo needs to run for Congress. How the fuck do I get Mark into Congress? Mark, I know you're a famous movie star, but I need you to run for Congress or Senate. Come on, Mark. What is my sober assessment of Kat's chances tomorrow? My sober assessment is that it's Daniel Biss or Kat Abughazaleh. And my personal belief is that her support is almost certainly underestimated in the polls. The question is if there's any consolidation in the race. If I were AIPAC, honestly, I would not have played in this race. I think this is a stupid campaign. I think they're dumb as fuck for trying to play in this race, and they're bad at their jobs. They just have infinite money from Zionist billionaires in the Israeli state. So they're, you know, they try to make a big splash in every race. I think this is a total waste of money. They're idiots. And they look powerless. They look like they don't have a lot of juice when they get their asses handed to them. I missed the cat interview. Can you post it on YouTube? Actually, I'm going to try to get the cat interview posted. Hold on. Let me talk to my editor. I didn't even really introduce Kat. I don't know if I even said Illinois' 9th district because I assume everybody knows. So editors, can you make sure that you do that? I didn't even read any of her shit. So there you have it. By the way, please sign up for her stuff. Can you guys, oh fuck, not the spreadsheet. Not the spreadsheet. Ah, fuck, I don't have the links anymore. Hold on, I do it. Can you guys do like a phone bank for me? Or, you know, no matter where you are in the country, just go ahead and sign up for a phone bank so I look good. You know what I mean? Can you make me look good? Just make one, you know, do one pack. Do like 30 calls. Do like 50 calls. You know, it's not, you'll knock it out in like a half hour. It's not a big deal. Go make me look good. Sign up for a shift. Kat is in my district, so I get to vote for her, thankfully. Base. If Kat wins, I'm gonna be like, Kat, will you endorse Oliver Larkin? Can you use some of your social media clout for Oliver? Think about Kat is if she fucking wins, she's going to be a superstar. I don't think people, like, you guys don't understand something. If Kat pulls this off tomorrow, she's going to become a fucking international celebrity overnight. I don't think you guys get that. If she wins tomorrow, they're going to be talking about her in fucking Beijing. Okay, they're going to be talking about her in fucking Paris. They're going to be talking about her ass in Warsaw. Okay, like she's going to be an international celebrity. Am I wide mic again? No, I'm thin mic. Dems will try to rat fuck her by running BIS in the general. No, they will not. No, they fucking won't. Oh, that reminds me, chat. I have an announcement. Yesterday, in between a photo shoot and visiting the Oscars, Hassan recorded a podcast with me. I have a new project. You, Gopnik, Freda, and I are launching a new podcast where we take down every major figure of the online right. The Reaction Podcast. Hold on. Let me pull up the trailer. I want to make sure I get the right one. Evan. Should have bookmarked it. Oh, fuck me. Such a dummy. I'm like, where the fuck is this? All right, this'll have to do.
Kept their alliance with Marxism, and the problem with that is that if you're a human being, you have to act in the world, because otherwise you suffer miserably and then you die.
Whenever I'm watching like a new trailer on my stream, and there's, oh my god, there's a fucking black person. Oh my god, there's a woman.
It's your body, my choice.
Fucking pronouns! Fucking gender ambiguity!
I want these people to suffer because that's what they did to me. Get rid of them.
The will of Vance marches towards evil from his human.
Gainer drives up, what goes around, yep, what goes around comes around. And we're coming. Non-incel attitude, well, I guess I'm an incel. And I think everybody else should be. All of us today be in a working spot if slavery never existed at all across the globe.
There were undoubtedly many nice slaveholders in the South.
All right, chat, the Reaction Podcast. We just recorded our Hassan episode on Asmongold. That will be episode 3. We're going to be it's a 2-hour conversation. We have an episode on Destiny coming. We have an episode on Nick Fuentes. We have an episode on Sam Hyde. We are going to be taking down your favorite right-wingers. We're going to talk about who they are, what they believe, their impact on the world. And if you've been looking for somebody to finally explain who the fuck are these random weirdos and why the fuck are they such freaks, the Reaction Podcast. And I'm going to be teasing this. I think we're going to be releasing our first episode this week. Why not Reactionism as a name? Why did I read that? Are you including mainstream media like Fox? Yes, we will absolutely be talking about major figures, but we want to start out with all the favorite online freaks. So we're going to get around to everybody. Don't worry. Well, we have a Destiny episode as well. I don't know if I mentioned that. So the reaction podcast, they're already recorded. They're already in the can. So when this goes live, this week, I will, wait, I don't think we're quite ready, but when we go live tomorrow, I'll have everything. So be hyped. It'll be great. And can you explain who Freda is to some chatters? Freda is one of the best history channels on, for example, I was watching the Metatron video. They are a goat. They take actual history, they take it down, they break it down. Incredibly intelligent, well-researched, great vibes, Norwegian leftist. And of course, we also have Hugo, the man, the myth, the legend, Yagopnik, who recently published the history of almost every slur ever. Amazing. All right, everybody. Wow. What a day. What a day so far. Let's knock out this JD Vance video about John Oliver, and then we'll do more. We will have a Patreon, and we will have everything. We'll have everything set up. It'll be amazing. Oh fuck! Sorry. Can I just say one thing about Hillbilly Elegy? It is one of the most social Darwinist pieces of shit ever written. I think if you like Hillbilly Elegy, there's something wrong with you, or you didn't comprehend it. Like, it is legitimately crap. It is basically poverty porn where you're like, it is the written equivalent of what's that fucking dipshit who goes around and looks at like homeless people. It's like one of those YouTube channels. It's like a YouTube channel where a guy goes and like tortures homeless people. It's like, yeah, Tyler Oliveira. That's right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It is a highbrow version of that, where you just go like, look at these fucking hillbillies. They deserve to die of fucking opioids. Karos, thanks for the raid, bro. Thank you. I gotta, I love somebody. I'm already following you. Oh, I'm not following you. Okay, there you go. Follow achieved. Mike follow achieved. Raid Mike equals Mike follow you. This is late, but here's Casey talking about the time you did 4 grams of mushrooms. What did Casey Tron? Yeah, Casey Tron was there one of the times I did mushrooms.
Mike from PA did like 4 grams of shrooms with us. It was so like whenever Mike from PA was like high on shrooms, it was like so like thinking back to the shit, like this man really does think about fucking politics 24/7, because whenever Mike from PA was tripping shrooms, he was going like very deep into like, you know, politics. He was like, I can't remember exactly what he was.
I think the reason why that is because my ego is perfectly aligned and my intentions are pure. So like, there's no mask. There's nothing. I'm not embodying a version of myself that's not me. Go ahead.
I'm never going to forget tripping on shrooms and then looking over and seeing Mike tripping on shrooms, but all he's doing is pacing back and forth and mumbling something, going like blah, blah, blah. And all you hear like every 10 seconds is like, socialism is the answer, socialism is the answer, and he was just like, well, I know, but I was high as fuck, and I was seeing a fucking triceratops being ridden by Trump running across the room. I was fucking, I took like 6 or 7 grams, but this motherfucker.
Yeah, I was rooted firmly in the ground. I was in touch with the mycelium. You know what I mean? Like I was not perturbed by the magic mushrooms. Like I was saying how magic mushrooms are literally the fungus's communication attempt with the animal world, where they basically say to us like, we're interconnected, we live in balance with nature. We are the bridge between life and death. We understand the universe deeper than you. Animals are egocentric. Like, it's the mycelium flexing on us and just being like, you ate our reproductive organ and now you have imbibed our philosophy.
But it was definitely very political. He was talking about like basically how we harm marginalized people in other countries to, you know, get the kind of like privilege and consumerism that we have in the United States. He was like on this full on like mushroom high rant about it for probably like 2 hours or something.
Yeah, I think I said something to the lines of like one of the Mike from PA takes. If you go out to dinner with me and we go to like Korean barbecue or something really, really nice, I'm like, this is what the empire's for, ladies and gentlemen. Like when we're eating Wagyu, if like you and I were eating a Wagyu steak, I'd be like, this is what all the imperialism's for. This is what the unequal exchange is for. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? And then you'll eat you'll eat that bite, and it'll be the best bite of food you've ever eaten in your life. And you'll have to reflect, like, God damn, it is really good, huh? Damn, it's like the Matrix. No, not like the Matrix. The Matrix is about, that's not what the Matrix is trying to explain to you. God damn it, chat. God fucking damn it. I'm not gonna get one guide. I'm not gonna get one guide. Tool of AIPAC and Zionists. Okay, can I just say one thing? Can I just say one thing? Bushra is not a bad person, okay? She ran a campaign for office for the last year. She's not an evil AIPAC stooge or whatever the fuck, okay? Like, let's try to remain normal, okay? Yes, I would like her to, you know, we didn't know who was gonna catch fire until the end of the campaign, you know? Let's be respectful of that. We don't have to go insane, you know, targeting her and trashing her. Any energy that you're spending trashing her, you should be using to boost Cat. It's fucking it's cringe. It's cringe. I do think that it's normal to say, hey, would you consider dropping out? But at this point, it's so late in the race, it won't even matter. The only thing that you can do that matters is help the candidate with get out the vote efforts. That's all you can do, is go and talk to every single person in the district who's ever thought one nice thing about Cat and make sure they show up and vote for her. It's not about like spending your time trashing Bushra is just, it's nonsense. It's a waste of your time. If you feel like you want to do Bushra discourse, sign up for a fucking sign up for a shift of phone banking for Cat. Every post you make about Bushra, you have to do at least one packet of phone calls, 50 to 100 calls to voters in Cat's district that we think might vote for Cat. It convince them to make sure to go out and vote. Then you could do a Bushra post. This is fucking stupid. This is actually a waste of time, and I don't like it. It's crazy to do that. She is correct. She's saying polls are wrong and that she will win. I mean, listen, I don't think she's going to win, but primary polls are very wrong. They're very wrong. They're very unreliable. They oftentimes miss it by up to like 20 points. General election polls are very good. Primary polls are garbage. So, you know, it's not insane to say that the polls are wrong about primaries, okay? You're just, again, you're not, this is not the way. This is not the way, all right? And I feel like when you attack Bushra, you are doing shit that is easy instead of doing the shit that's hard. Do a phone bank for Cat. Make 100 calls for Cat. Or make calls for the amazing Illinois slate. Does anybody have a link to the Illinois slate? Like, ladies and gentlemen, like, this is where you should be focusing your effort. I liked Bushra a lot, and I do like her, and I'm going to help her in the future. But, like, you know, focusing your efforts on attacking her because of that's not the way. She's, you know, it's just not the way. Votes have already been cast. It is what it is. It's a day before the election. She's not going to be able to drop out an endorsed Cat and then it make a big difference. Like, it's just not a thing. You're wasting your time. If you go out and get 5 votes for Cat that she wouldn't have gotten, you've done a huge service to the campaign. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is a campaign that has the progressive left behind it. It doesn't have enough attention on social media. He's another Mike from PA head running for Congress.
Money. Because in this race, where the money comes from tells you who the candidate listens to. Let's just say my opponent, Melissa Bean, listens to her donors or actual voters. She has taken hundreds of thousands of dollars from dark AIPAC money with no end in sight. I will not take a dime of corporate PAC money or dark AIPAC money.
Like, this is what we're talking about, man.
On Tuesday is the primary election day. Vote for June aid, not for AIPAC, not for the billionaires, and not for someone who supports ICE.
I like the other progressive as right too. Junaid. Sorry, Junaid. I started to get squirrely about mispronouncing his name. Okay, I started to get squirrely. I didn't want to embarrass him or myself. I got a little bit squirrely. Okay. I'm sorry.
Vote for Junaid, and vote for someone who's gonna
got me. Okay, you
be
caught
there
me.
to fight for you, not for foreign lobbying groups. Thank you.
Mark is so cool. Can I just say something about Mark Ruffalo? You guys might not know this, but he's been a warrior for a very, 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 very long time for the left. Very long time. Mark is probably one of the most based people that you regularly see on your TV. So we love Mark Ruffalo. I'm a Mark Ruffalo simp. And you should. Patch Doll said this shit in my presence. Holy fucking hell, dude. Holy fucking hell. He looks like the ugly Cabbage Patch Doll that you find. Like, he's the Cabbage Patch Doll that nobody buys. Jesus fucking Christ. It's like the factory floor when the haircut blade got dull. And so it's like a misprint Cabbage Patch Doll. Like, what the fuck is this haircut? Mine lolly. He's the fucking clearance rack Cabbage Patch Doll. He's a garbage pail kid. If you don't know what a Cabbage Patch Doll is, you're not a millennial, that's good. This is so, holy fucking shit. Ah! 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 We're finding our own. We're finding our own. Honestly, the Cabbage Patch Doll's hair, as I said, is better than him. Am I right or am I right? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm fucking wrong. That he's not a Cabbage Patch Kid. Tell me I'm fucking wrong. Why do I have cats open still? His tongue is stained brown right now. He's going to town. What the fuck are you talking about? When somebody is trusted with state power, which is the most important thing that you can have in our world today, controlling the American state is the most important power a person can have. Being batshit crazy on a bunch of issues is really bad because you could kill millions of people with your bad ideas. Jesus fucking Christ. Are you away, chat? Can I just say this? If you see a Mike from PA hater, can you just point out that I liked Bushra, so did Ilhan Omar, but we have both decided to change our mind, okay? So if you're gonna hate my guts because I had a bad take about Kat, you also have to hate Ilhan Omar. I'm sorry, those are the rules. Those are the rules. Oh, you hate black Muslim women? Cancel yourself. Cancel your fucking self. After retweeting Bushra's post last night, Rep. Ilhan Omar is endorsing Kat Abughazaleh in Illinois 09. See? Me too. I'm not the only one. Checkmate, liberal. Why is my camera deciding to suddenly start looking at Luigi? Why did my camera decide to start looking at Luigi? I had absolutely nothing to do with that. It just decided on its own. Unlock me. Are you okay? What'd you do? Unlock me. Thank you. Jesus fucking Christ. Why did you suddenly decide to look at Luigi? Did my FBI agent suddenly decide to look at Luigi with my camera? Like, what the fuck just happened? Asadox on Bushra. APAC strategy in Illinois 8th with Junaid and Abughazaleh. Can I just say the APAC people are the most evil sacks of shit in the world? Like, I almost admire how evil they are. It's like seeing pure anthracite coal or something. Where you look at it. Have you guys ever seen anthracite coal? The best coal in the world comes from Pennsylvania. It's called anthracite. And the finest coal, the best, highest grade coal is called anthracite. Comes from Pennsylvania. It is black as night, right? That's what it's like to look into the soul of an APAC operative. These guys are just like, it's like seeing the purest essence of evil. It's almost like, it's awe-inspiring how evil these fuckers are, how cynical they are. The veil of dissolution is wearing thin socially. Oh no, absolutely. People are just expressing themselves fully now. People are that's what's so interesting is like, I've been expressing myself authentically for years and years and years now. And watching the rest of society kind of adopting that is amazing to see. And it's like, some of you guys were actually fucked up. It was actually good for some of you guys to be masked up. You know, like, god damn. I'm seeing the real you and I'm like, go back.
LGBT activism is the tip of the spear at our throats in the culture war. Vance also wrote a
I do want to double underline that going after Bushra is, I think, a bad call. I think it's a waste of your time and it's bad vibes. And she's a really good person. And yes, I'm sure it's very frustrating to run for office for a year, get no attention because other people are more social media savvy than you. It is what it is.
Blurb for a book co-written by the far-right activist Jack Posobiec,
But I want her to
promoted the
help.
Pizzagate hoax, a book, by the way,
I want to
called
help her continue to be a politician. I don't want her to become a crank because you guys went unhinged.
Unhumans, a term that it uses for people on the left.
By
which says,
Bituminous, the moderate is the best coal. How dare you question my coal knowledge? How dare you question my coal knowledge? How dare you? Here is the USGS.gov, U.S. Geological Surveys, anthracite, the highest rank of coal. It is hard, brittle, and... Okay, why is it timing out? And in hard, brittle, and black, lustrous coal. How dare you question me on coal knowledge? What are the types of coal? Look at, read it and weep, motherfucker. How dare you question my coal knowledge? There are 4 major types or ranks of coal. Rank refers to steps in a slow natural process called coalification, during which buried plant matter changes into an ever denser, drier, more carbon-rich, and harder material. The 4 ranks are anthracite, the highest rank of coal. It is hard, brittle, and black, lustrous coal, often referred to as hard coal, containing a high percentage of fixed carbon and a low percentage of volatile matter. Bituminous coal is a middle rank between subbituminous and anthracite. Bituminous coal usually has a high heating value. It is used in electricity generation and steel making in the United States. Bituminous coal is blocky. It appears shiny and smooth when you first see it, but look closer, you might see it has a thin, alternating, shiny and dull layers. Don't you dare question my coal knowledge. It's like JD Vance is the profile of a guy with no constituency. Like, there is no fucking way that JD Vance will ever be anything but Donald Trump's vice president. He is sauceless. He is juiceless. He is a fucking loser. The only guy I'm scared of is Tucker Carlson. That's the only politician on the right that I think has juice. Like, I think Tucker Carlson is the only guy that I respect as an enemy, as a threat. That guy worries me because, for a variety of reasons. I actually talk about it in the podcast with Hassan, but I think Tucker Carlson is the only one that I'm like, we got to be careful with that motherfucker. And part of the reason I say that is he's so easily tricked Cenk Uygur and what's her fucking name? I forgot her name. Anna Kasparian. For some reason, I forgot her name. Probably because she's not very relevant. The way that they got rolled by him is probably one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen. It's one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen. They got absolutely fucking rolled by him. And it's not just, I mean, they're obviously bad at this, but like, they're not that bad. You know what I mean? Like, to be completely fooled the way they were. There is some talent there from Tucker. He understands how to play them like a fiddle. And that's one of those conservatives who isn't a moron, but like conservatism because he's a bad person. And those are the one. No. As I've said, there's 2 types of conservatives. There are dumb as fuck, ignorant assholes, right? That's the vast majority of conservatives you run into in your day-to-day life. They're just ignorant assholes, right? They don't know what the fuck they're talking about and they're kind of stupid. All right. The scary ones are the ones that are pure evil. And Tucker Carlson is a demon from hell. Unfortunately, he is not stupid. How the cat interview go? I will be publishing it, and my VOD should be up.
Question they hasn't happened.
Like, if I had a conversation with Tucker Carlson, first of all, he would never have me on. Tucker Carlson would never have me on, and he would never have Hassan on because he understands that we would roll his fucking ass. And he would bring on Cenk, he wouldn't bring on Anna because there are people that he can play. To create this false sense of like, oh yeah, we can work across the aisle against Israel and blah, blah. That's not what it's about. No, it's about seeming reasonable.
In fact,
it's a Hassan video about Tucker. Oh yeah. This is an important point to underline. JD Vance would absolutely not agree with that if it happened to his daughters. JD Vance, if his daughters were raped and impregnated, there is a 0% chance that JD Vance would be like, all right, let's take it to term. He'd have that girl on a flight to the closest abortion clinic within 0.3 seconds. He's a complete and utter fraud. And that's true of every Republican. There are frauds. They don't believe it. This is just slop for the dumbs.
Watching him. Take the VP debate, where for 90 minutes, he managed to come off as...
All right, everybody. That's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for hanging out. We had a great interview with Kat Abughazaleh. She cleared up a lot of positions that we were concerned about. Obviously, I think we're still not completely in alignment, but I think that she would be an incredible asset. And so thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you see anybody who's questioning my positions or attacking me over this, now you'll have a convenient opportunity. Let me see about the I'm going to be posting the interview on my YouTube as soon as possible. All right. Well, I'm going to send you guys, gals, look for that later. I'll post in the Discord. Here's all my links. Make sure you're following me on all the things. Here's the Discord. I'll send an alert in Discord when it goes up. When you have the chance, I yelled at an AIPAC funded rep yesterday. Send it to me tomorrow. All right, everybody, stay safe. Solidarity forever. Free Palestine. If you're in Illinois, go support your Justice Democrats and your left-wing allied candidates. I'll see you soon. Peace.